the Almighty Pokémon Master. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301 Successful Arrest. Ditto is all light purple, with a pair of small black eyes and a soft and flexible body. It can transform into the opponent's appearance by changing its own cell combination and copying the cell combination of all the copied objects, and even use the opponent's skills. After training, Ditto is not limited to changing elves and other living things, but can also transform into designated objects, such as the mask covering Zhang Xingyun's face in front of him, which is the Ditto's transformation. Zhang Xingyun in the information is a young man in his 20s, and the middle-aged man in front of him is Zhang Xingyun, whose appearance has been changed by Ditto. Zhang Xingyun walked out of the store again, looked around for a few times, and then walked in one direction. Zhang Xingyun was behind him, silently using his supernatural power, hanging behind him at a certain distance. With the ability of nearly elite level, he would not be discovered. Zhang Xingyun walked into a hotel again, and after coming out, his appearance changed again, becoming a vigorous young man, wearing a duck pear hat, and carrying a travel backpack. Unfortunately, Zhang Xingyun had already remembered his aura, so it was useless, even if he changed his appearance. Then, he joined the crowd, and after several turns, he took a car and drove towards the Yangxing forest. He stopped near the outskirts and changed his clothes. When he got off, another wave of supplies has been replenished. I don't need to care about it for a while. I have to find the base of Team Rocket and join them. Otherwise, I will be caught sooner or later. After checking, Zhang Xingyun stepped into the lush forest. There was also a Mala beside him. What Zhang Xingyun wanted to do most now was to join Team Rocket. Only by joining Team Rocket could he get the protection of Team Rocket, so that he would not have to live such a life. He was tired of this kind of hiding life. Every time he sneaked into the city, he was always worried. Fortunately, there was Ditto, so he was safe. Damn, just a few people died. Is it necessary to chase me like a mad dog? The value I can create is not comparable to those ordinary people. Zhang Xingyun had already let Ditto withdraw, revealing his true face, showing an indignant look. After letting Ditto attached to his face for a long time, not only was Ditto tired, but he also didn't like it. With a swish, Zhang Xingyun appeared out of nowhere behind him and punched him. When Zhang Xingyun approached, Mala immediately responded, stretched out its shining claws, and scratched him. A red figure flashed by, and Mala flew backwards like a rag. The Ditto on Zhang Xingyun's body also squirmed around, and turned into a shield to block. With a muffled bang, Zhang Xingyun's fist hit the shield that Ditto had transformed into. Ditto turned into its original form, and fell to the ground with Zhang Xingyun, who, after landing, Zhang Xingyun immediately got up, and released the other Pokémon in the Pokéball. Mala, are you okay? Mala didn't respond to him, lying on the side without moving, with her body heaving slightly. Zhang Xingyun was horrified. In a single encounter, his two elite level Pokémons, one was disabled, and the other was laying. No matter how dumb he was, he knew that he had been attacked by someone above the elite level. You should worry about yourself. Zhang Xingyun appeared on a dense tree and said coldly, investigator. Seeing that Zhang Xingyun was wearing thick clothes, Zhang Xingyun didn't want to continue talking. He took Ditto and ran away immediately, leaving behind the Pokémon he had just called out, and the Memora lying on the side. A giant claw mantis appeared on the path he was walking. Zhang Xingyun stopped running when he saw this. It was impossible for a human to outrun a Pokémon like a giant claw mantis, especially in this forest environment. Put the Pokémon away and lock it up, then put the space backpack aside, and then hold your head with both hands. Otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Did you find the wrong person? I'm a law-abiding citizen. Zhang Xingyun just raised his hands and didn't make any other movements. Then you have to cooperate with me even more. Come back with me. If you are a law-abiding citizen, we will compensate you for your loss today. Do it quickly, otherwise don't blame me for being rude, Zhang Xingyun said coldly. Nidoking and Electabuzz also took out their Pokeballs and stood nearby, looking at him aggressively. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yangaio's face turned pale, and he stopped resisting. He took back his Pokémon and locked the Pokéball, waiting in place. He knew that with this Linoop, resistance was useless. You know what's good for you. Zhang Xingyun took out handcuffs and handcuffed him, and also took away his things. He sat on Pidgeot's back and flew back to Changning. He went to the Public Security Bureau to make a record. After separating the man and the Pokémon, Zhang Xingyun took the Pokémon back to the Pokémon Center, and the man was left at the Public Security Bureau so that they could handle the follow-up matters. After returning to the Pokémon Center, Zhang Xingyun also handed in several Pokémon, which would be converted into success points. The things on Zhang Yangaio belonged to Zhang Xingyun in this mission, which was another source of income for the investigator. If it was a team mission, the gains would be shared equally. Of course, if the mission specified that item, it would need to be handed over. Therefore, each investigator did not just receive a fixed salary, but had many income channels, and would not break the law. In addition, the investigator also had a lot of room for promotion. Many high-ranking officials and politicians were originally investigators, but they just had the strength and ability. After returning to the office, he greeted Zhang Kai on duty and sat back at his desk. Liu Wen and the others were probably going to do the mission, and only Zhang Kai on duty stayed. Is the mission completed? Zhang Kai turned around and asked. Well, this mission is not difficult. It's just to arrest a wanted criminal, and that person's strength is not strong. Zhang Xingyun replied, picked up his phone, and saw that the merit points had been credited. Then you are fast enough. It takes us a long time, unlike us. It seems that you are suitable for the job of investigator. They are not as easy and fast as Zhang Xingyun to arrest criminals of the same level. It usually takes half a day or a day. After all, they are not ability users, and the elves are not like the giant claws mantis and others, who are well trained and invincible at the same level. Of course, there is also the reason for the intervention of the qua-seeking level giant claws mantis. It's okay. Then the two chatted for a while, and Zhang Xingyun went to train the elves. It was estimated that there was nothing to worry about. Sure enough, there was no other emergency until the end of get off work. Zhang Xingyun went home after get off work. Today was not bad. He arrested an elite trainer and the elves did not delay training. Chapter 302 Chenyu's information. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Xingyun returned home. There was not much to do today, so he could work from 9 to 6. If he was busy, he would not be so idle. As soon as he sat down, he habitually checked his mobile phone. The mobile phone on the road vibrated several times. Someone must have sent him a message. He took a look and found that it was from the class monitor Chenyu, saying that class 20 would take a class photo in the next few days, and asked him if he had time tomorrow. If he had time, he would take it tomorrow. It's almost April, and it's graduation season. Time flies so fast. Zhang Xingyun was a little emotional. The scene when he first entered school was still vivid in his mind, and now this class is about to graduate. During this time of year, many graduating classes will take a group photo as a commemoration. Senior year is also considered a graduating class. If nothing unexpected happens this year, everyone will go to college. Zhang Xingyun replied immediately. I will go there tomorrow. What time do you need to arrive? About 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Okay, I will be there on time. After replying, he plugged the phone into the charging cable and walked into the kitchen to cook dinner. With the help of Madame Huaji, dinner was quickly prepared. In the wide training ground, we ate with the elves. Hey boo, you will meet powerful ones later. These few times will not be too difficult. You will have a chance to show your abilities later. Hey boo, the electric beast was talking about the 2 elite level elves it encountered today. They were both elite level elves, but it only needed a few moves to defeat them. It didn't even need to do anything. With the strength of the electric beast, it really didn't need to use much effort to defeat ordinary elite level elves. For example, the current electric beast, with its early elite strength, could defeat ordinary mid-elite elves. For late elite elves, it could fight head-on and not lose. During the day, Magira and Ditto were only at the early elite level. They were defeated in one encounter. Even if the electric beast was used, it was still very fast. Nido Kami Kami B. After a lively dinner, the elves and Zhang Xingyun followed their usual habits, some training, some entertainment, while he went into the study, to study and make a training plan. The next day, Zhang Xingyun came to the elf center, greeted everyone, and told Lin, who was on duty today, about the afternoon. Although if there was nothing to do, it would be sitting, but it is always right to report, even if there are not many things in this period. After sitting back at the post, no tasks were pushed back until noon, and Zhang K, GXIU, and Lin did not go to perform tasks this morning, and spent the whole morning chatting. This is also what everyone likes to see, and everyone hopes that there will be fewer crimes, the better. It is those teammates that Zhang Xingyun has not met yet. Zhang K and others said that they were going to perform tasks related to the rocket team. What exactly is it? Only the captain knows. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun came to Changning No. 9 Middle School. When he walked to the teaching building, he met Chen Yu and several girls. Chen Yu and several other girls all wore light makeup today. Their looks were not low to begin with, and they looked even more beautiful after putting on makeup. Then they walked up the stairs together and came to the classroom. After arriving at the class, they looked around and saw that everyone in the class had come and were at the podium, packing up their things. Boys like Yi Crossing were wearing various elf-like clothes. For example, Yi Crossing was wearing a Jenga-like outfit, which was bulging and looked like a fat man. Xingyun, you're here. We are taking a group photo today. Come pick out a piece of clothing. Gao Yun, Yi Crossing and several other boys came over and urged. Here we go. Zhang Xingyun stood up, walked to the podium, and took a set of clothes that looked like Nidoking. After changing his clothes, he felt that they fit him well. They should have been prepared for him. Why didn't Nangang come? Have you contacted her, class monitor? Yes, she will come over later. Remember to keep her guard ever for her. It turned out that these elf-like clothes were purchased based on their initial elves. For example, Yi Crossing's Jenga and Zhang Xingyun's Nidoking were cosplays of their initial elves. This is a custom of taking graduation photos after the elves come. The clothes they wear are all fitted. After taking off their clothes, they decorate the classroom with everyone. Everyone is smiling, and soon the classroom is decorated. Everyone sits together and eats snacks. Nangang is here. Chen Yu said. Sorry, I'm late. It's okay, come and sit down. Chen Yu greeted. Nangang Yeo then sat down next to Zhang Xingyun. Busy man, what are you doing recently? I can't contact you. Zhang Xingyun handed over a drink and asked casually. I went to the world with my brother these days, and the signal in the world is not good. Oh, I seem to see you on the list of investigators. Should I call you Investigator Zhang now? Nangang Yeo looked at Zhang Xingyun with a smile in her eyes. No, I'm just trying to make a living. It's like a summer job to earn some money. Zhang Xingyun grinned and made a joke. Zhang Xingyun was not surprised at all that Nangang Yeo knew he became an investigator. Her cousin was an investigator and the chief investigator of the neighboring city. He had met her once before, so it was not surprising to know that he became an investigator. Wow, Xingyun, you became an investigator. Chen Yu exclaimed next to him. He was a little shocked to hear that Zhang Xingyun became an investigator, but after thinking about it for a few times, he felt it was reasonable. Not only Chen Yu, Yi Crossing and Fang Hongjian were also surprised. They didn't expect Zhang Xingyun to become an investigator. It was difficult to become an investigator. You have to pass the test of family background, strength, resume, etc. Generally, only trainers who have graduated from university can do it. In addition, the power and status of an investigator are not low, and there is a bright future for him. Zhang Xingyun became one just like that, and they couldn't help but be surprised. It was just luck. I just happened to run into the policy, and was pulled in by Chief Investigator Ling. It was really luck. Zhang Xingyun explained to everyone why he became an investigator. Wow, Xingyun, you don't have to go to college, because you have achieved what those college graduates want most. Haha, you still have to go to college. You have to experience some things and experience different lives. You still have to. Zhang Xingyun laughed and responded casually. You are really a big shot. You said that being an investigator is a summer job. You are worthy of being Zhang. Xingyun sighed. There is no comparison between people. They are still in school, but he has become an investigator. Chapter 303 Graduation Photo. The teachers are here. Get up and take pictures. After chatting for a while, Chen Yu stood up, looked around and greeted. Okay. Come on. Everyone changed into their own clothes and stood on the arranged steps. In the middle stood several teachers, including Principal Li Yuning and Vice Principal Wang. They took a group photo in the classroom. After the photo was taken, several teachers left, letting them have fun. If they were here, they would be somewhat restrained. We've taken the photo here. Next, let's go to the statue of Master at the training ground and take another photo. After the photo is taken, you can also take photos freely. Everyone walked down the stairs and came to the statue of Master at the side of the training ground. The statue of Master will appear in the school even in the current elf age. After all, it existed before the elves came. TSK, you look pretty in this costume. Zhang Xingyun turned his head and said to Nangang Yeo next to him. Gardevoir is a humanoid elf, very suitable for cosplay, and Nangang Yeo's tall figure makes cosplay even more beautiful. I've always been beautiful, haven't I? Your Nidoking doll costume is also good, handsome. Hearing this, Nangang Yeo also turned around and looked at Zhang Xingyun. That's right, I've always been handsome, haven't I? HMPH. Hearing this, Nangang Yeo smiled quietly and patted Zhang Xingyun on the shoulder. It turns out that there are so many beautiful girls in our class. It's a pity that I haven't come much since I was admitted. Looking at the female classmate wearing the elf costume, Zhang Xingyun said to Nangang Yeo in telepathy. Oh, you are so successful, hahaha. If you are moved, go after her, I support you. Nangang Yeo encouraged from the side. What do you think of the class monitor? She has fair skin, beautiful face, long legs, and a good personality. If I were a man, I would go after her. Nangang Yeo pointed at Chen Yu who was communicating with the cameraman and said in telepathy. Okay, I just said it casually, you are talking so much. Zhang Xingyun quickly stopped him. Hahaha, do you have someone you like? Yes. Zhang Xingyun said very straightforwardly, with a natural look. Who is it? Tell me, maybe I can give you some advice. When she heard this, Nangang Yeo became excited. I said I like you, do you believe it? This. After hearing what Zhang Xingyun said, Nangang Yeo was choked and didn't know what to say for a while, and her face was a little red. Hahaha, just a joke. Who told you to be so gossipy? Seeing Nangang Yeo like this, Zhang Xingyun added a sentence. I know that you men are good at lying. After saying that, he went to He Jingwen and other girls. Looking at Nangang Yeo's background, Zhang Xingyun's eyes were deep, and he thought of the rescue in his mind, and his heart was rippled. Hey Xingyun, what did you say to Nangang just now? Why did she leave? She looked a little flustered. Yi Crossing and others came over and asked curiously. Nothing, just some normal things. I don't know why he is like this. Everyone is ready to take pictures. Stand up quickly. After communicating with the cameraman, Chen Yu shouted to everyone, return to the team, and looked at the camera. Stand up. Come on. Eggplant, wow, you stepped on my foot. Nangang Yeo also stood next to Zhang Xingyun, looking forward. Maybe because of what happened just now, the two of them were silent and the atmosphere was a little subtle. With a shot of Eggplant, this scene of everyone was left in the photo and became a youth that can be recalled in the future. After the photographer said there was no problem, everyone dispersed, released the elves, and took pictures together. In this atmosphere, Zhang Xingyun also became interested and released Nidoking and others. Wow, aqua seeking. That's awesome, Zhang. Is this the distance between me and the big boss? I'm still struggling at the ordinary level, but they are already qua seekings. After the elves appeared, they caused another sensation. Not only Fang Hangjian and others in the same class, but also students from the same school were exclaiming, hey class monitor, come and take a picture for me. Hey. Hey boo, the electric shock monster saw the Nidoking costume on Zhang Xingyun and asked. The initial elf I registered for school was Nidoking, so there was no one like you. Zhang Xingyun explained. Hahaha, it's nothing. If you want, I can borrow one of yours. Hey boo, the electric shock monster waved his hand, indicating that it was not necessary. Nidoking was the big brother, and this was also natural. Well, you stand here, Nidoking, you come here, Shakiras and Kabutosaurus, you two just stay at my feet. After talking about the positions, he and the elves looked at the camera together, and Zhang Xingyun and the elves all smiled. Click. This scene was captured and saved in the mobile phone. Well, it's a good shot, thank you class leader. Well, in the picture, Zhang Xingyun and the elves all smiled and looked forward. Zhang Xingyun stood in the middle, with Electabuzz and Nidoking on his left and right, Kabutosaurus and Shakiras at his feet, Squirtle lying on Kabutosaurus, Charmeleon being led by Zhang Xingyun, and Mantis and Pidgeot flying. Xingyun, come over and take a few pictures. Okay. After Chenyu took a few pictures together, the other girls in the class also came over and took a few pictures together. Xingyun, here. After taking pictures of the girls, Yi Crossing and the others shouted at him and then walked over and took a few pictures. After the photo shoot, Wang Yu and several other teachers were also pulled down by several students, and they took a few group photos in 2s and 3s. At this moment, this area was full of students taking photos, and the sound of laughter was endless. The boys and girls coming and going formed a beautiful landscape. My deskmate, do you want to take a few photos together as a souvenir? Nangang Yeo happened to walk in at this time, and Zhang Xingyun shouted. Okay. The two of them took a few group photos together, and a pair of handsome men and beautiful women appeared in the pictures. I was just joking just now, you shouldn't mind, right? Zhang Xingyun said after the photo shoot. It's okay, why would I mind? I also said I like you, do you believe it? Haha, I don't believe you. The atmosphere between the two returned to the previous atmosphere, talking and laughing together. Nangang Yeo looked at Zhang Xingyun's handsome face with a strange look in her eyes, but Zhang Xingyun didn't notice it at this time. Because his mobile phone rang, and he was answering the call. Xingyun, there is an urgent mission. The captain is calling us. If you don't have something extremely urgent, come quickly. Liun's voice came from the phone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304 Emergency Mission. Hey everyone, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Zhang Xingyun said hello to Yi Crossing and others, then went into the teaching building to change clothes, and then rode Pidgeot into the sky, heading towards the Pokémon Center. Everyone looked at Zhang Xingyun going away, with amazement and envy in their eyes. Like, maybe a little. Looking at Zhang Xingyun's back, Nangang Yeo muttered to herself. She still had a little affection for this deskmate, otherwise she wouldn't have lost her composure just now. Forget it, I have to be busy for a while, let's talk about it after I'm done. Nangang Yeo shook her head, and was also pulled away by Chenyu and others, suppressing the idea that had just popped up in her mind. On the other side, after Zhang Xingyun arrived, he walked into the office, and saw the team leader Lin Jianzhang and the deputy team leader Hu Ziming and others. Sit down. Lin Jianzhang pointed to a chair and said. After Zhang Xingyun sat down, Lin Jianzhang's deep voice sounded. Okay, Xingyun is here too. I'll tell you about this urgent mission. I received news that a group of members of the rocket team have seized a batch of fossils and materials in the secret realm of the neighboring Gan province. They will pass through our Changning in the next few days. The task assigned by the superiors is for us to intercept them. That batch of fossils is also very important. It is related to a new technology. The superiors attach great importance to it. So we have to stay there in the next few days, and the organization will also mobilize the hidden agents lurking in the rocket team to cooperate with us. This is a brief introduction to the mission. Do you have any questions? If not, take your equipment and we will set off immediately and rush to the waiting point. After Lin Jianzhang finished speaking, He looked at Zhang Xingyun and others. Zhang Xingyun and others shook their heads. He had explained it so clearly, and there was nothing unclear, so they set off under the leadership of Lin Jianzhang, Gxiu, Liun, Zhang Ke, He Yaosan and Deputy Captain Hu Ziming also set out. Together with Zhang Xingyun and Captain Lin Jianzhang, there were a total of 7 people, all riding flying elves to the waiting point. After a while, the 7 people landed at the junction of Changning and Biguan City. This is the squatting point, and it is also a lush forest. There is also a small river flowing not far away. Xingyun and Zhang Ke, he and Leohu, Gxiu and Liun, you are each a team, separated by a distance of 2 kilometers, to squat. The news I received is near here. Yes. After landing, Lin Jianzhang arranged the squatting teams and asked them to squat. The 6 people dispersed and spread out at a certain distance, and they were on guard. It was past 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If they were called out at this time, they would probably spend the night here. The 7 people from the 13th Brigade of Changning were only squatting in this area. There should be search officers from Biguan City and other brigades in Changning squatting nearby. After all, this place is too big. Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Ke were a team of 2 people. They chose a place and squatted here, paying attention to the 4 directions. From time to time, a few elves came over, but they were not very strong, and were all solved. This is also because they are afraid that these elves that come over are the elves released by those people, so they can only be dealt with. If they are released, they may be exposed or something. This is not without precedent. There have been several times in the past where the mission failed because of this. Therefore, this is one of the precautions of the investigator, and Zhang Xingyun and others naturally understand this precaution. Puff after dealing with a ladder and cleaning up the site, Zhang Xingyun returned to the tree trunk. He released his mental power and looked around. Zhang Ke, who followed Zhang Xingyun's team, also benefited. Zhang Xingyun would remind him when no elves approached. He also relaxed for a few times and only responded when Zhang Xingyun reminded him, and he didn't need to pay attention to the surroundings all the time. Brother K, there is a walking grass behind you on the left. Zhang Xingyun reminded him in telepathy. Zhang Ke made an OK gesture to him, then touched it, rustling, and returned to the original place and solved the walking grass smoothly. When the walking grass was only in the novice stage, Zhang Ke did not call out the Pokémon and solved it by himself. He is also an elite level trainer and has received many energy feedbacks from the Pokémon. It is very easy to deal with this novice walking grass. Zhang Xingyun leaned on the tree trunk, holding a compressed biscuit in his hand and chewing it in his mouth. Fossil? New technology? Could it be a fossil pterosaur? After listening to Lin Jianzhang's words, Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but think of the Pokémon fossil pterosaur. In the anime of the previous life, the fossil pterosaur was a Pokémon that was revived by using fossils or amber and machines developed by scientists. In addition to the fossil pterosaur, there are several other types of Pokémon that can also be resurrected through this technology. The secret realm of Gan province has come, and there should be something about this. Perhaps in the near future, a Pokémon like the fossil pterosaur will appear in the world. So this time, they were asked to intercept the rocket team members passing by here and take back the fossils and some information. Flutter, flutter, a mockbird flapped its wings and landed on the tree where Zhang Xingyun was. Due to the dense leaves covering it, it did not notice Zhang Xingyun. Mook, the mockbird's body suddenly trembled, twitched a few times, and then lost its breath of life. When it died, it did not see who killed it, nor did it know how it died. You are unlucky. Looking at the mockbird that he killed, Zhang Xingyun said lightly. From the beginning to now, he has also made several shots. The strength of the elves here is generally not very strong. The most coincidental thing to kill so far is to go to an ordinary early elf. When it comes to Zhang Xingyun, it will be killed with one blow. Thanks to the wave of energy fed back by the breakthrough of the giant claw mantis, plus the daily practice, Zhang Xingyun's strength is now roughly equivalent to the level of the superpowered elves in the late elite stage. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is an elf with popularity. With Zhang Xingyun's current strength, he can easily defeat even the elves in the late elite stage. With the strength improved, other auxiliary skills will naturally improve, such as teleportation and spirit attachment. Zhang Xingyun has also done experiments. The effect of spirit attachment attached to the elf level Nidoking is at least one level higher. The increase of Squirtle is even greater. After receiving the spirit attachment, Squirtle has reached the elite level. Naturally, the increase of the Quasi-King Giant Mantis will not be that much, just a small increase. But this is enough. Giant Mantis can be invincible in the same level and fight across levels. Chapter 305 Target appears. Hey Xingyun, what are you doing? Zhang Ke came to the tree where Zhang Xingyun was hiding and said, I've eaten something. Brother K, why are you here? Are you going to patrol? Zhang Xingyun also jumped down from the tree, patted his clothes and responded, yes, we have been squatting here for a while. Next, I want to patrol and see if there are any discoveries. I'll go for a walk too. I don't think I'll get anything if I stay here. Be careful. We can't be too far away. If you find anything, contact us through the communicator. Okay, you too. After that, the two of them separated and explored everywhere. The boots made a rustling sound when stepping on the dead branches and rotten leaves. The sunlight was also blocked by the tall trees. Only a few rays of light shone through the gaps in the leaves. Woo! From time to time, a certain cry came from afar, echoing in the forest. After circling around, Zhang Xingyun returned to the previous squatting point. Zhang Ke also came back, leaning against a tree, smoking a cigarette. Do you want a cigarette? No, thank you. Zhang Xingyun declined, and took out another compressed biscuit to eat. Sometimes, people in our line of work are under a lot of pressure. For example, we will probably be in the wild these days, and we will have to run into those cruel people. Zhang Ke blew out a stream of smoke rings, threw the cigarette, but on the ground, and crushed it with his feet. I was unlucky during the last crackdown. I ran into a tough guy who was a potential superstar, and I almost lost my life there. Well, luck is very important in everything you do. Zhang Xingyun agreed. People with good luck can do everything smoothly. With Zhang Xingyun's mental power projected outward, he can also pay attention to the surroundings. Now there is no progress, so the two started chatting. Hasn't that been cracked down on? Why are we using it today? Do you think an organization of Team Rocket's size can be solved by cracking down on it? If it can, it's not Team Rocket. Then they should have destroyed a lot of strongholds. Yes, there are quite a few, but a new province, they must still have strongholds. If today's mission goes well, maybe we can destroy a few more strongholds. According to my intuition, there should be a king level existence in this battle. Don't rush too far. We are just elites. It's useless to rush too far. We have to see what those big guys do. Remember, don't rush too far. Last time, I rushed in to show off. I got money, but I met a Quasi-King and almost died. I know you are a capable person, but don't take risks. There is no need, right? Although what I said is a bit negative, this is my idea. If you think it's good, just listen. Zhang Ke reminded, telling his previous experience, warning Zhang Xingyun. Yes, I know. Thank you for your reminder, Brother K. Zhang Xingyun nodded, with a look of approval on his face. Hey, of course we can go up, if we meet someone of the same level. After all, these are all merits. We can't go up empty-handed. After all, we have to eat this bowl of rice. Zhang Ke said in a somewhat bachelor's tone, and took out another cigarette and smoked it, puffing out smoke. Zhang Xingyun teleported to the top of the tree, and stared into the distance. Gan province is located in the north of Changning. If they will pass by, they will probably come from the north. Zhang Xingyun also mainly looked at the north. Soon, the setting sun hanging in the west also went down, and the last ray of light also dissipated in the sky and earth. The forest without street lights and other lighting tools fell into darkness. Aoao Wu Cha Cha, some elves in the forest also became active, and from time to time there were howling sounds, echoing in the forest. Brother K, I will help you hide your breath, and those elves can't find you. Zhang Xingyun said to Zhang Ke, who was hiding in the dark. Okay. Help Zhang Ke hide his breath, so that when those elves pass by, they will not find them, and cause some unnecessary trouble. Maybe we have to spend the night here. If we attract elite elves, the fighting will be loud and difficult to hide. Buzz buzz buzz. The communication cable on Zhang Xingyun's shoulder coincidentally vibrated, and the words of the captain Lin Jianzhan came from it. I received a message. The rockets will pass by here tonight. Be careful. Received okay received. Zhang Xingyun also said received. Now it is confirmed that we will run into the rockets tonight, but we don't know which team will fight in advance. CCCSUO2 awakens emerged from the bushes and rushed to the distance, but did not find the two. Zhang Xingyun and the others did not make a move and watched the two awakens pass by quietly. The two awakens are just ordinary level strength. If they make a move, it won't take much effort, but considering that it is night now, forget it. If it is daytime, since the two awakens have passed by here, they can't go back. Some elves at night are very sharp and perceptive. After all, they come out to look for food at this time. They are not unique and do not have this habit. Zizzy with a fluttering sound, a group of Zubats and Zubats flew over, but they didn't notice the two. If they had tried to kill Arbok just now, they might have been entangled by these Zubats. Boom. When the two were rejoicing, a rumbling sound came from the north. The communicators on their shoulders also dripped a few times, and the voice of the captain Lin Jianzhan came from it. Everyone, surround the north, everyone. Got it. Got it. Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Ke immediately got on their respective flying elves and rushed over. At the rumbling place, there were 5 figures confronting each other, 3 men and 2 women. There were more than a dozen elves fighting on the field, all of them working level elves. There were 3 people wearing black search officer uniforms, 2 men and 1 woman, and the opposite was a man and a woman. The man was short, with a big face and small eyes. He looked very thin and weak, but this was just on the surface. He was still a king level strongman. Next to him was a young woman with a hot body, charming features, slightly curly hair, and wearing a grey-brown windbreaker. She was also a master of the Heavenly King. The two of them were riding on a big king swallow. This big king swallow was also a spirit of the Heavenly King level. Gold and silver scorpion, let's see where you are going. A square-faced Heavenly King on the opposite side shouted. The gold and silver scorpion were naturally the man and woman in front of him. The gold scorpion was the man and the silver scorpion was the woman. They were both very famous Heavenly Kings in the rocket team, and also a couple. You really think highly of us couples. You actually sent 3 Heavenly Kings to intercept me. The silver scorpion chuckled. Although he said that, he didn't look scared. He must be a confident person. After a few words of verbal cannon, the spirits of both sides bombarded each other again. There were also investigators who heard the news, and the rest of the rocket team members who escaped underground. Chapter 306, Chasing the Enemy Late at Night. The king elves in the sky were fighting each other, and the whole world was illuminated by their gorgeous skills. There were constant explosions as they fought back and forth. The ground was also very lively, and the investigators who arrived fought against opponents of the same level. The scene was very chaotic, with the elves' moves flying around and roaring non-stop. Captain, we are here. Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Ke also rushed to Lin Jianzhan's side at this time. It's good that you're here. You two should chase those 2 people quickly. They are sneaky. Maybe they have something good. Lin Jianzhan pointed at the 2 people who were fleeing in the distance and told them to chase them quickly. He still had to fight here. Yes. The 2 rushed towards the 2 people who were fleeing again. They are separated. Xingyun, you follow the one on the left, and I'll be on the right. Okay. After speaking, Zhang Xingyun and the Pidgeot under his seat disappeared from their original positions, and the next moment they appeared 500 meters away, closer to the fleeing people in front. Fuck, how could a person with special abilities appear? Kintaro, speed up, hurry up. Zhang Xingyun's actions were seen by the young man riding on Kintaro's back. He was immediately scared and urged Kintaro to hurry up. Kintaro also used all his strength to run wildly on the ground, and the cow's hooves kicked up clouds of dust. The young man who was caught by coincidence did not sit there and wait for death. He took out a gun and shot wildly at the surrounding trees. He also knew the power of this gun. It would not have much effect on Pidgeot, who was chasing behind, so he did not shoot at Pidgeot, but at the surrounding trees. Whoosh, 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 bang, bang, bang. In this dark night, countless tree branches flew around, and under the bright moonlight, there were many shadows. The young man on his back was still worried. After shooting all the bullets, he took out a few smoke bombs and threw them in different directions. Hazes, the movement of the two also alarmed the passing elves. A team of spirals took off into the air, looking at the Pidgeot flying behind them. They ignored the culprit and, led by several toucans, all pounced on the Pidgeot. Zizzy toucans and other elves flew to a low altitude and did not move forward. Cut dos woo woo woo. The other elves also came over and wandered around under the ground. Some predators even successfully preyed and then slowly withdrew. Looking at the toucans that were swooping over, Zhang Xingyun did not want to be smooth with them. It was more important to chase people. He moved again and appeared about 500 meters away. He could sense the young man riding Quintero in the smoke from a distance. Quintero, hurry up, hurry up. Those people should not be trapped for long. Come here. Move. The Quintero under the seat ran in the direction pointed by the young man. Very loyal. Dada four cow hooves ran on the bumpy road, and from time to time they had to avoid the branches of the big trees. But a sound of breaking through the air sounded, and two wind blades slashed towards the young man on Quintero's back. Cat Boss, high speed star. Meow. After Cat Boss came out, he fired a high speed star and went up to meet it, and then the young man took it back into the Pokeball. The process was not a bit of drag, and it can be seen that the two are very tacit. Bang. The wind blade and the high speed star collided and made an explosion sound. Pidgeot flew out of the smoke and got closer and closer. The Quintero in front was also very stamina. He turned around and around, and with the help of the terrain, he burst out with all his strength to keep the distance. According to this situation, no matter how good Quintero's stamina is, it will definitely fall down first. If the person chasing was not Zhang Xingyun, but someone else, he might really run away. With the help of the terrain and Quintero's endurance, he escaped in the forest. Even the elite trainers were afraid that he could not catch him. Unfortunately, he met Zhang Xingyun, who could sense through mental power and would not be affected by the chaotic environment and terrain. He kept chasing accurately. Zhang Xingyun followed up with another teleportation, allowing Pidgeot to get closer. After the teleportation, Pidgeot was also wrapped in a layer of energy coat, and the flying type big move, Brave Bird, was activated. In the state of Brave Bird, Pidgeot's speed became faster. In the process of rushing over, the tree vine whips that blocked it were all shattered and dripped to the ground. Zhang Xingyun appeared on the other side, released the giant mantis and rushed over. Boom. There was a loud noise. Obviously Pidgeot's attack arrived. After the loud noise, there was a bang, which should be a battle with Pidgeot. When Zhang Xingyun arrived, he saw a cat boss and a butterfree entangled with Pidgeot. Quintero was lying on the ground, breathing out more than breathing in, and it seemed that he was about to die. The young man with an ordinary face was also leaning against a big tree nearby, with blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. This should be due to the Brave Bird move that Pidgeot had just used. When the young man saw Zhang Xingyun appear, his face became even uglier. Swish. When the giant claw mantis appeared on the field, the young man's face was no longer ugly, but turned pale, and his body was trembling. He quickly called out a Raiden and a Rada to guard him. Surrender. You can't run away. Put away the elves and lock them. Put the space backpack aside, and squat on the ground with your hands on your head. Zhang Xingyun shouted. Haha, I'll fight you, running dog. Come on. The target is that investigator. Maybe he was stimulated by Zhang Xingyun's words, or he felt that he couldn't run away. The young man's eyes were red, and he rushed towards Zhang Xingyun with the elves. You're looking for death. Nidoking, Electabuzz, come out. Nidohabu. After Electabuzz and Nidoking came out, they faced the elves, and the young man approached Zhang Xingyun very smoothly. This was Zhang Xingyun's signal. Since the young man was like this, he should be captured, and the battle would naturally end. There was also a giant mantis next to him, and his own strength was not low, so he was not afraid of accidents. Die for me, you lackey. The young man held a short knife with a cold light in his hand, and chopped it over. But in midair, it was bounced off by Zhang Xingyun. Surrender. You have no chance of winning. If you continue like this, you and your elves may die. Zhang Xingyun warned. I will drag you, the lackey, down with me even if I die. As soon as the voice fell, the young man took out a few bombs and threw them over. Boom boom boom. After a few bombardments, the bombs were blocked by Zhang Xingyun's supernatural power and had no effect. Seeing this, the young man took the bombs in his hand and rushed over with the bombs. Very crazy. It was the first time that Zhang Xingyun had seen such a crazy rocket team. None of the rocket teams he had met before were this crazy. Boom. Perhaps it was the young man's desire to survive or something else, but he threw all of them a few seconds before the bomb exploded, and then his body was blown away by the airwave generated by the explosion. Chapter 307. Embarrassed Zhang Ke. Looking at the young man lying on the side with smoke coming out of his body, Zhang Xingyun frowned. This time, he seemed to be a little crazy, but he also took out the rope and tied him up. On the Pokémon side, the wild Nidoking and the electric shock monster joined in and were also taken down without suspense and locked in the Pokéball. He picked up the young man's space backpack and checked the things inside. There were indeed a few fossils in it. Zhang Xingyun sensed a very slight life fluctuation from the fossil, but he didn't know what kind of Pokémon it was. Just when he was about to use the system to check, the man lying on the ground woke up and made a few hisses. It must be said that his physical fitness after the energy feedback from the Pokémon was still quite strong. Where am I? The young man's eyes were a little blurred and his body was a little immobile because of the rope. By the way, I was captured. It's a pity that I can't go back. Thinking of his current situation, the young man buried his face in the soil and gave up struggling. Awake, quite healthy, woke up so quickly. Zhang Xingyun walked over and squatted beside the young man. Haha, running dog. The young man raised his head and glared at Zhang Xingyun, still cursing, without begging for mercy. Haha, running dog. Only you bunch of rats crossing the street can say that. You know what our investigators do, and you still call them running dogs? Facing such a strong-willed member of the rocket team, Zhang Xingyun also gathered his energy and fought back. Haha, you have a good family background, enjoy a lot of resources, and easily become strong. Then you look down on us and exploit us. You investigators are tools to exploit us. Aren't you running dogs? Pa. We went through life and death every day, and we had to pay this and that, but you didn't have to pay anything. Why? Why? The young man roared, looking at Zhang Xingyun with red eyes. It can be seen that he is a man with a story. I don't know your past, and I'm not interested, but I can see that you should be a trainer from a poor family. In recent years, the country has also invested heavily in the trainer industry. It has also strongly supported civilian trainers and rectified many malpractices. I also came from a poor family, but I became what I'm today through my own efforts. What I want to say in the end is that the country has not forgotten the children of civilians. Besides, your past is not a reason for you to commit a crime. Heh. Forget it. There's nothing to say to someone like you. He used his supernatural power to lift it up and put it on Pidgeot's back, then took off and rushed towards Lin Jian's hang. When he arrived, the heaven-leaking war that was originally fought in the sky had also ended, leaving behind a devastated post-war scene. Lin Jian's hang and several others were arranging personnel. On one side were a dozen people squatting on the ground, who should be the captured Team Rocket members, and on the other side were the people who were injured in the battle, receiving treatment. Captain, I caught one. This is his backpack. There are several sets of fossils in it. Zhang Xingyun rushed to Lin Jian's hang, put the young man down, and handed over the space backpack. Okay, you are worthy of being a capable person. You can take the rest back. I will register your merits. Lin Jian's hang took the fossils in the space backpack and returned the rest to Zhang Xingyun, and then spoke again. Let me say a few more words. Do you have any fossils? Take them out and convert them into merit points. Don't keep them privately. They will be checked later. Captain, don't worry, I didn't keep them privately. Okay, Zhang Ke hasn't come back yet. You can go and support him. He hasn't come back yet, and I don't know if he will be in trouble. Lin Jian's hang said. He still cared about the members of the team. The other team members hadn't arrived yet, and Zhang Xingyun was the only one who had time. He couldn't get away, so he asked Zhang Xingyun to support Zhang Ke. Okay. After listening to this, Zhang Xingyun rode on Pidgeot and rushed to the place where they were scattered at that time. After taking out a communicator and looking at it for a few times, he chased after them. Zhang Ke on the other side was in trouble, surrounded and beaten by several teams of Butterfree. He relied on the elves to support himself and looked around carefully, looking for a way to escape. Unlike Zhang Xingyun's successful arrest, he did not catch up with the man when he was chasing. While he was still chasing, he was misled by the man and entered here and was trapped by Butterfree. The rocket team also ran away. It was night now, and it was impossible to catch up in the pitch black. At present, he had to break out. There were 5 elite Butterfrees in this tribe, and he only had 4 elite elves. He could not be invincible at the same level as Zhang Xingyun and fight against higher levels. Besides, there was no benefit in fighting. Even if he destroyed this tribe, he would be injured. It would be better to save his strength and return to the main force. King Yanwu, the Oath of Fire. The sturdy King Yanwu stomped the ground, and suddenly a series of gorgeous pillars of fire appeared. Bang, bang, bang. After the release of the fire oath, a gap was also blasted out. Zhang Ke also took this opportunity to escape from Butterfree's encirclement. Then he slowly retreated under the protection of the monster and the King of Flame. Butterfree, on the other hand, stopped chasing at the call of the leader. I finally escaped. It's so unlucky. Not only could I not catch him, but I almost fell here. In this battle, both of his Pokémon were injured. In the Pokéball, the King of Flame and the monster were also slightly injured. It can be seen that his journey was not very smooth. Cool, sorry to bother you too. Xingyun is on the way. He should be looking for me. Zhang Ke thanked them all the way, took out the communicator, saw the dot marking Zhang Xingyun, and rushed towards him. After a while, Zhang Xingyun rode on Pidgeot and flew over Zhang Ke's head. Brother K, are you okay? You look like this. What happened? After landing, Zhang Xingyun looked at Zhang Ke, whose search officer system had several holes in it, and asked, "Don't mention it. I was misled by that person, and then Zhang Ke told his experience. At the invitation of Zhang Xingyun, he sat on the back of Pidgeot and rushed back to the assembly point of the large group. Xingyun, did you catch him? Zhang Ke on the back of Pidgeot asked, while Pidgeot was flying. Well, it took a few efforts, and succeeded in catching him. Oh, the young are formidable. You see, not only did I not catch the person, but I also fell into danger. If you hadn't come to pick me up, I would still be walking now. I'm a little ashamed. Not that bad. Okay, we're here. Then Pidgeot landed on the ground, and the two also came to the assembly point of the large group. Chapter 308 Searching Again. Zhang Ke, what about yours? Didn't catch it? Lin Jianzhang said as he looked at the two people coming. Well, it was dark, and there were other factors, so we lost it. Zhang Ke said with some shame. Forget it, it's good that nothing happened. We have already captured a batch. You two can take a break and see what arrangements are made later. After saying that, Lin Jianzhang went to other places to get busy, leaving the two people dressed. Zhang Ke also took his elf to the treatment center for treatment, but Zhang Xingyun did not. His elf was not injured. Zhang Ke, Xingyun, you two are here. A loud voice came from behind the two people. Looking back, it was Liu Wen and the others. I heard it just now. The one you were chasing actually let him run away. You can't do this. Look at Xingyun. He just joined the company and caught one. As a senior, you are so lame. TSK. Liu Wen and the others came over. Liu Wen put his hand on Zhang Ke's shoulder and laughed at him. I don't want to either. Besides, Xingyun is a person with special abilities. If I were a person with special abilities, I could catch him too. TSK. Liu Wen looked unconvinced after hearing this, and he chuckled. Okay, everyone, pay attention and eat something to replenish your energy. Deputy Captain Hu Ziming called out, and everyone found an open space to sit for a while. Sister Yaosun, why is there blood on your body? Are you injured? After sitting down, Zhang Xingyun saw the blood on Yaosun's shoulder and asked. Well, I was scratched in the battle just now, and I've dealt with it. Yaosun replied. No way, Yaosun, you are still fighting so hard. You must have rushed to the front again. Listen to my advice. Don't do this next time. We do what we are capable of. Don't you think that those who arrive early will definitely be targeted? Zhang Kai advised from the side, telling her not to be so active next time. I will pay attention next time, but I won't be as experienced as you. Looking at Zhang Kai's persuasion, he yaos and said she knew it. Big sister, you said the same thing last time, so be more careful. Okay, Zhang Kai, don't be so slick. It's not good if others hear you. Hu Ziming reminded him from the side. Oh, okay. Zhang Kai stopped talking about this, sat down, took out his food and started eating. How did the battle between the Heavenly Kings end that day? Zhang Xingyun asked at this time. This time, the investigators sent 3 Heavenly King level experts, while the other side only had 2. Logically speaking, they should have the advantage. It ended like that. Although there were only 2 on the other side, they were not at a disadvantage when facing our 3 Heavenly Kings. They fought for a while and then withdrew. Our 3 Heavenly Kings also chased after them. If there were no other Heavenly King Masters involved, they probably wouldn't be able to stop the 2. At this time, GXIU answered Zhang Xingyun's question. They were all Heavenly King level Masters. If one side was determined to escape, the same level Masters really couldn't stop it, unless there were some other means or support. I just went over there to see the operation tonight. 4 people died, and 8 were seriously injured. Fortunately, no one in our team was seriously injured or died. This can be considered luck. Hu Ziming side. The rockets were not easy to deal with. There were still casualties on the investigators' side. The scale of this operation was not small. Even the king was involved. After hearing what you said, I really want to go to the Public Security Bureau. It's a bit scary. We have such a big advantage tonight, but it's still like this. If we are at a disadvantage, wouldn't there be more casualties? After hearing this, Zhang Kai also stopped eating. You are really enough. Besides, with your style, you won't be in trouble, right? He yaos and joked, seeming to despise Zhang Kai's appearance. Zhang Kai shut up and sat aside to eat with gifts. Xingyun, don't be as old-fashioned and negative as him. He yaos and turned his head and said to Zhang Xingyun, well, I know my limits. Zhang Xingyun nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. Taking this opportunity, he also took out some food and started eating. You are all here, that's good. Now we have to go into the forest and try to catch those people who escaped and get the things back. After Lin Jianzhang dealt with the matter, he walked over and asked everyone to stand up. Let's go search like the original team. Pay attention to the Pokémon in the forest. Although there are no Quasi Kings, there will be many elite ones. Yes. Several people stood up together and dispersed in pairs. After Zhang Kai took back the Pokéball, he and Zhang Xingyun entered the forest again. During this period of time, Zhang Kai had already healed several Pokémon. It was the Quasi King level healing Pokémon that took action so quickly and could participate in the operation. Captain is really something. It's been a while, and you still let us search. The 2 sat on the back of Pidgeot, and Zhang Kai complained. It may be arranged by the people above. Let's see how lucky we are. We may catch 1 or 2. After all, there are elves in the forest who will stop us. I'm so tired. It's already 1 in the morning. I thought I could go back, but now I have to work overtime. Okay, did you lose him here? As he spoke, Pidgeot also flew to the original tribe of Butterfree. Yes, I saw that man running to the east that time. I was entangled by Butterfree and didn't chase him. Zhang Kai nodded and pointed to the east. Then the 2 of them rushed to the east again. The man probably met an elf out hunting and fought. There were traces of fighting along the way. The traces of fighting stopped here. Something must have happened. Pidgeot landed on the ground and the 2 of them checked the surrounding environment. There are no signs of fighting here. There are only a few possibilities. One is that the man is a special ability user who can use teleportation like you. But I chased him all the way and he didn't look like a special ability user, so this possibility can be ruled out. The other possibility is that the man was captured by the spirits that were chasing him and he might be dead. Zhang Kai said his 2 guesses. After listening, Zhang Xingyun did not express his opinion, but observed the surrounding environment. When his mental power was released, the dark environment had no effect, and the things he observed were very detailed. Brother K, look at this. Zhang Xingyun walked to the side and picked up a few pieces of blood-stained rags from the ground. This might belong to that person. Zhang K said after reading it. The grass here has signs of being pressed. Let's go over and take a look. Maybe we will find something. Okay. Chapter 309 Mission completed Invocation. After Zhang Xingyun and Zhang K followed the trace for a distance, the trace also disappeared. Could it be that we made a mistake? Zhang K asked when he saw this scene. No, we didn't make a mistake. It's the rocket team member who is probably gone. Zhang Xingyun replied, looking at a deep place with a look of as expected. What? What's gone? After hearing this, Zhang K was a little confused, not knowing what Zhang Xingyun meant. Fuck Arbok, who was hiding in the dark, suddenly jumped up and attacked, opening a smelly snake mouth and biting at the two. In its teeth, you can see a few pieces of rags that are very similar to the previous rags. Flame King, strange power. Zhang K did not panic when he suddenly encountered this situation. The Pokémon on his belt moved slightly, and Flame King and strange power appeared beside him, ready for battle. When Flame King and the two Pokémon came out, Nidoking had already encountered the sneak attack of Arbok. When they met, Nidoking used a freezing punch to hit Arbok's jaw, and Arbok's body was also hammered up. Then Nidoking grabbed its tail and swung it hard. With a snap, it fell heavily to the ground. Arbok's entire body was almost embedded in the ground. Before it could catch its breath, Nidoking's attack came again. With a bang, it was Nidoking's earth power, which hit Arbok head on again, and blew him up again. Fuck, Arbok didn't have time to react and screamed. When he met Nidoking, he was hit by several moves, and had no power to fight back. Nidoking added another move of spraying flames, and the hot flames directly wrapped Arbok. Arbok's painful screams came from the flames. The brightness of the flames also illuminated the surroundings. Snap Arbok, who was also in the middle stage of the elite, was killed on the spot by Nidoking in these few seconds, which made Zhang K look sideways. Brother K, don't let your guard down. There's more. Zhang Xingyun reminded him. His mental power was released, and he could know the surrounding situation. Therefore, he found the Arbok in the dark at the first time. Fuck, as soon as he finished speaking, two more Arbok came out from the bushes, with fierce momentum. The energy fluctuations on their bodies were also at the level of mid-elite, similar to the one killed by Nidoking just now. It seems that we are in trouble. Let's die together. Fuck, the two Arbok opened their big mouths and shot out dense poison needles, which shot wildly. Nidoking defended and resisted, and Yan Wuking and Guili behind him also came up. The two elves rushed out from the side and rushed forward. Guili's flame fist and Yan Wuking's arm punch slashed with great force, and fought with the two Arbok. The noise of the battle also attracted other elves in the forest. Now there was no need to ambush, so Zhang Xingyun would not be polite to them. The figures flashed a few times, and the elves such as the giant claw mantis appeared on the field, attacking the peepers around the attackers. Under the mental scan, Zhang Xingyun found a broken space backpack and moved to the vicinity of the backpack. There were still scattered things on the ground. This backpack was probably that person's, and his fate was probably that he was swallowed into the stomach and his body was gone. He collected all the things around and sorted them out. Some food was gone, and only some useful things were left. There were also a few fossils. The elves in the forest were not interested in this. Bang bang bang, King Yan Wu took down two Arbok monsters after some effort. The same was true for the giant claw mantis. Zhang Xingyun moved instantly and appeared next to Zhang K, holding the broken backpack in his hand. I found this in the corner. It belongs to someone, right? Zhang Xingyun raised his hand and asked Zhang K to take a look at the backpack. Yes, that's right. I saw this backpack when I was chasing him. That's good. I guess that person is dead. The things have been found. Let's search somewhere else. Okay. After packing up a little, the two left the place again, riding on the back of Pidgeot and heading in another direction. This night, the forest here will not be peaceful. From time to time, there are the roars of elves and the sounds of fighting. Time passed slowly under this search. time soon came to the early morning, and the sun slowly rose from the east, releasing golden rays of light. At dawn, Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Ke also returned to the gathering point. After finding the broken backpack, the subsequent search did not find anything. Wandering around in the forest, they heard their captain calling them back in the communicator, and the two rushed back to the gathering point. Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Ke were the first to arrive, and they also gave the fossils in the broken backpack to Lin Jian's Hang. Thank you for your hard work. Now that this is done, you can probably rest for a few days. Okay, go and rest nearby. After fighting all night, Zhang Xingyun felt a little tired, so he sat cross-legged on the ground and closed his eyes to rest. Soon Liu Wen and his men came back. Deputy Captain Hu Ziming did bring back one person, but the others did not gain anything. Seeing that they were all here, Captain Lin Jian's Hang smiled and encouraged them a few words. Then he let them rest and took his things and rushed to the other side to hand them in. I'm so tired. I've been working all night. Tonight is finally the end. Xiu and his men sat down near Zhang Xingyun. They didn't have Zhang Xingyun's special abilities, so they were all cautious and tense when searching at night. Look at the sky. Those kings are back. Liu Wen pointed to the kings flying in the sky. Now that they are back, we can go back as well. Hu Ziming fiddled with his glasses and said lightly. Later, Lin Jian's Hang also came over and told everyone to retreat. We have done a great job on our mission this time. We have captured many members of Team Rocket and recovered a lot of fossils. Merit points will be issued later. Thank you for your hard work. You can leave now. By the way, today plus the weekend, we have 3 days off. Go back and have a good rest. Then goodbye, Captain. We will go back first. Okay. Then Zhang Xingyun and his men rode their elves back, while Captain Lin Jian's Hang stayed where he was and continued to work. After having breakfast outside with the elves, they return home. They released all the elves and let them move freely. After taking a bath, they returned to the bedroom to rest. Chapter 310 Team Rocket Meeting. It was already past noon when he woke up. When he got up and walked out of the room, he saw the elves eating lunch. Zhang Xingyun's space backpack was placed outside, and it contained energy cubes and other food. He also told the elves to get it if they were hungry. Madame Huaji came out of the kitchen with a bowl of soup and called out when she saw Zhang Xingyun. Okay, you guys eat first. I'll go wash up. After washing up, Zhang Xingyun and the elves gathered together and ate their own food. Not bad, not bad. Madame Huaji, your cooking skills have improved. Madame Huaji smiled softly and motioned him to eat more. Shaji Kamakami, you two think it's delicious too, then eat more. After eating, Zhang Xingyun came to the recliner on the training ground and lay down in the sun. He was also watching the elves training. These few days were free, and Zhang Xingyun was thinking about what to do these days. Go out hunting in the wild, or make energy cubes, or go back to school to hang out. While Zhang Xingyun was basking in the sun, people in a rocket base in the South China Sea were holding an emergency meeting. This base was very secretive, and even the government's crackdown a while ago could not find it. The other personnel were very strictly managed, and it was not easy to send information, even if there were insiders. This time, our mission has been completed by 20%. Why is it 20%? Because we were intercepted in Changning, and about 80% of the things were intercepted. The one who spoke was Silver Scorpion, the beautiful young woman. More than 50 people were lost. If the research value is not considered, then the gains this time are not proportional. At the conference table, in addition to the two kings of the Golden and Silver Scorpions, there were more than 10 people sitting below, both men and women, mostly men. Among them was Venomous Snake. So what problems were exposed from this action? A man with grey hair and a thin face opposite Silver Scorpion said. He looked like he was at the same level as Silver Scorpion, and was also a powerful king. The question is, how could our route be exposed? This is the biggest problem, I think. Silver Scorpion said very confidently. The three of them were discussing this experience. The dozen people below were just listening quietly, not speaking. They would only stand up and answer when they were called. They were only quasi kings. They could only listen to this meeting and had no right to make decisions. Making decisions was the job of the kings and masters, and they did not dare to overstep their authority. Listen, everyone. When you go back, you must thoroughly check and take in the undercover agents. Silver Scorpion shouted to the dozen or so people in charge. Yes, the dozen people, including VIP, all answered in unison. This is the search team that participated in the interception this time. Among them are the 13th and 11th search teams in Changning, the 7th and 9th teams in Biguan, a king in the military, and one each in Changning and Biguan. The big screen in the conference room showed pictures of the people who participated in the interception, including Zhang Xingyun's photo. VIP saw this too. He frowned and looked a little ugly. Since Zhang Xingyun appeared here, it means that he is not dead yet and has become an investigator, which means that Shadow took his things and did not help him to solve the problem. He took my things and did not help me to solve the problem. He also wasted precious time and let this kid grow to an elite. Shadow has made me a mistake. Damn it. VIP was cursing in his heart, but considering the current place, he could only suppress his anger and his face was a little ugly. He thought that Shadow had taken over the task and it must be a sure thing. He didn't expect to be fooled by him. Until now, he has not killed anyone. If his immediate boss Qiu Long asked if he answered that he had not killed anyone, wouldn't he appear to be useless? If so, he would be despised by his boss, and there might be other punishments. If he was not careful, his life would be in danger. After all, as a subordinate, he knew Qiu Long's character. For now, he could only think of ways to make up for it and try to kill Zhang Xingyun when his boss asked. Fortunately, he participated in the god-making project and has not appeared for several months. He still has time to operate this matter. Humph, damn Shadow, one day I will settle accounts with you. VIP was conceiving a plan. This time he decided to take action himself, not to send people, and not to give Zhang Xingyun time to grow. To become an investigator, you must have 3 elite level elves. Looking at the uniform on Zhang Xingyun in the picture, it is the first class uniform of the investigator, which means that at most he is an elite. With his old-fashioned quasi-king, killing an elite is not a piece of cake. The next plan we have to make is to catch these undercovers. Silver Scorpion's cold voice echoed in the conference room. VIP, who was thinking about how to kill Zhang Xingyun, heard it and came back to his senses and looked at Silver Scorpion. Do you have any good ideas? If you do, you can bring them up and we can discuss them. As soon as the voice fell, the people below began to chatter and VIP also joined in. If this was done properly, not only could Zhang Xingyun be killed, but the undercover could also be caught. While the Rockets were discussing how to implement and catch the undercover, Zhang Xingyun was having dinner with 2 old friends. The 2 old friends were Chengzu and Linji. The 2 of them also returned to Changning today, so they asked Zhang Xingyun to get together. I told you to come and see us during the winter vacation, but you didn't come. I'll punish you by drinking a glass of wine. Linji poured a glass of wine and asked Zhang Xingyun to drink it. Sorry, I'm very busy during the winter vacation. I'll definitely do it next time. I'll drink this wine. Zhang Xingyun apologized and picked up the wine glass to drink a glass. By the way, how many days will you be back this time? After drinking the wine, Zhang Xingyun asked. We probably need to rest for many days this time, because the secret realm we want to explore has been attacked by Team Rocket, and there is no need to explore it, so our mentor came back. Chengzu responded. Yeah, that's fine. Let's rest for a few days. I don't know what happened. We were supposed to go to the secret realm in Gan province, but who knew it was attacked by Team Rocket, so we couldn't go. Linji also talked on the side, explaining the reason for coming back. Gan province? Team Rocket attacked? Are there fossils in that secret realm? After listening, Zhang Xingyun also thought of last night's mission. Wasn't it this? Yeah. Hey, how did you know? Linji nodded and asked curiously. This happened not long ago, just yesterday, and they only found out about it last night. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xingyun also knew about it so quickly. Of course I know, because I also participated in the interception operation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311, Chengzu's Request. Participate? How did you participate? This is about the investigation. How did you get involved? Linji couldn't help but ask after hearing this. Chengzu on the side also stopped eating and looked at Zhang Xingyun. Haha, I was taken care of by Chief Investigator Ling, so I was able to enter the 13th Squadron of Changning and become an investigator. I participated in this interception activity last night and stayed up all night. Zhang Xingyun explained with a smile. Wow, you are awesome. You can actually become an investigator at this age. I don't even know if I can become one after graduating from college. I heard it's very difficult and you have to go through a lot of procedures to become an investigator. Linji shouted excitedly and was shocked and envious of Zhang Xingyun becoming an investigator. Chengzu on the side was also surprised. When they first met, he was only a novice, but now he has become an investigator. From the beginning, Chengzu also knew Zhang Xingyun's potential and was happy to make friends with him. Originally, he thought that one or two of Zhang Xingyun's elves should be able to enter the elite, but he never thought that he could become an investigator. Haha, this is the favor of Chief Inspector Ling, and it is also the policy of this year. It's just luck. Seeing the shock on the two people's faces, Zhang Xingyun laughed and explained casually. Policy, plus you are a capable person, so that's it, but it's also your opportunity. You must seize this opportunity. Many high-ranking government officials are investigators. After listening to Zhang Xingyun's words, Chengzu also suddenly realized. I didn't think too much about it. Let's do this for now. I still have to go to school in the Magic City in September. That's right. Come on, have another drink. Zhang Xingyun greeted, and the three of them started eating and drinking again. Zhang Xingyun's attitude towards these two old friends was also as warm as usual, and he did not look down on them because of their increased strength and status. When he was a novice, Chengzu and Linji both took good care of him, which he still remembered. During the chat, Zhang Xingyun also said that, if there were any problems, he could come to him, and he would definitely help within his ability. The two laughed and said frankly that they were lucky to have Zhang Xingyun as their friend. The three of them ate meat and drank wine, and they were very happy. They also talked about what happened recently. From the chat, Zhang Xingyun also knew the situation of the two. So far, Chengzu has 2 ordinary late-stage elves, and Linji has only 1 ordinary late-stage elf. The improvement of their strength is also quite standard. They are not as fast as Zhang Xingyun, but they are also slowly improving. Here, these energy cubes, 1 for each person. Zhang Xingyun took out 2 energy cubes and placed them in front of the two. Most of the energy cubes inside were intermediate energy cubes, and only a few were advanced energy cubes. Yuanling. The two also knew that Zhang Xingyun could make energy cubes. After refusing several times, they accepted it. However, they also took out a lot of good things for Zhang Xingyun as a return gift. Xingyun, how is your giant mantis? At your current rate of improvement, it should not become aqua-seeking. After putting the gift away, Chengzu guessed. He also knew that Zhang Xingyun had an elite peak giant mantis. According to the growth rate, it might really advance to aqua-seeking, so he asked this question. Well, brother Zhu, you guessed right. My giant mantis advanced not long ago. You guessed it right. After being guessed by Chengzu, Zhang Xingyun did not hide anything and directly admitted it. Wow, why is the gap between people so big? I'm still struggling at the ordinary level, and you have advanced to aqua-seeking without any notice. It's outrageous. Hearing Zhang Xingyun say that the giant mantis Linji had reached aqua-seeking, Linji was shocked again. Haha, this giant mantis was originally my guardian spirit. It has already reached the peak of elite strength. It's not entirely my credit, but it's also your ability to make the giant mantis submit to you. Such things are rare. In short, you definitely played a role in the giant mantis's advancement to the aqua-seeking. After that, the three of them picked up their glasses and drank again. Xingyun, can I ask you for a favor? Chengzu said a little embarrassedly. Tell me what it is. I will definitely help if I can. Zhang Xingyun and Linji also stopped eating and looked at Chengzu. I just need you to do me a favor. Help? Well, to be honest, I'm the eldest grandson of the Cheng family in Changning. After my father passed away, the property left behind was also taken by my second uncle. Even the quota of the 3 royal families was given to my cousin by my grandfather. The two looked at Chengzu and motioned him to continue. I would like to trouble you to support me. I need to go back to the Cheng family to get my things back. It would be good to get some of them back. Xingyun, are you willing to help me? Chengzu asked with a request, looking at Zhang Xingyun seriously. Is it enough for me to support you? Is there anything else I need to do? Zhang Xingyun thought for a while and asked slowly. Well, the Cheng family is just a small family. With a genius like you, Xingyun, supporting me, I can get back my things, which are also left to me by my father. I also called the police at that time, but I was too young and my mother passed away. The people from the Public Security Bureau asked my grandfather to handle it. But my grandfather actually gave it to my cousin. I was unwilling to accept that my father left it to me, and he actually gave it to my cousin. I'm an adult now. I want to go back and take back the property that was entrusted to my second uncle. If I call the police, my grandfather is still the head of the family, and there are a lot of disputes, so I would like to ask you to go over and help me support it. With your current potential and status, they will definitely not dare to offend you. Only if you support me, I don't have to go through those troublesome judicial procedures to get back the property that belongs to me. Even if I have to go through the judicial process, you as an investigator can help me without going through the people from the Public Security Bureau. Xingyun, are you willing to help me? After speaking, Chengzu looked directly at Zhang Xingyun with his hands clasped together. Of course. Zhang Xingyun responded immediately. This originally belonged to Chengzu's property. As a friend, he naturally had to help out if he had the ability. Besides, this was not a big deal. It was just a family dispute. Zhang Xingyun was just there to support Chengzu and help him get his property back. Okay, thank you very much. Chengzu was very excited and his voice was trembling. I'm free tomorrow. Let's go there tomorrow. Okay, add me in too. Although my role is not big, but add me in. After hearing this, Linji on the side also raised his hands, indicating that he would go to support Chengzu. Chapter 312 Going to Cheng's house. After Chengzu made his request and Zhang Xingyun agreed, the 3 of them drank for a while and then went back to their homes. They agreed to meet at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and go to Chengzu's home together. Zhang Xingyun had also seen Chengzu's family on the internet. The Cheng family is a small family. It was founded by Chengzu's grandfather Zhang Xingyun. Zhang Xingyun has 3 sons and 2 daughters. He is also a trainer with 3 quasi-king Pokémon. He also runs a small company. The current president of the company is his second son, Zhang Xingyun, Chengzu's second uncle. The Cheng family is also somewhat well known in Changning. I didn't expect him to be from the Cheng family. I didn't know it at first. After returning home, Zhang Xingyun called the computer again and looked at some information about the Cheng family again. Families have existed in Chinese society since ancient times, but after the advent of the Pokémon, they have developed vigorously and become a feature of today's society. The predecessors planted trees and the descendants enjoyed the shade, so the second or third generation of the family can grow rapidly on the basis of the predecessors, and the starting point is naturally higher than some civilian trainers. This is also the social trend after the elves come. On the second day, Zhang Xingyun and Chengzu gathered at the agreed place, and Chengzu led the 3 to Chengzu's hometown, Shining Villa district. Along the way, most of them are villas, and there are also some courtyards and garden buildings. Only people with small assets live here. The property management and environmental scenery here are the best choices. With Chengzu leading the way, the security personnel along the way did not stop them. The 3 of them came to a villa unimpeded. Chengzu called a few people, and an old man came out. After seeing Chengzu, he opened the door and let the 3 people in, shouting, "Master Zhu, Old Wen, is my grandfather here? Where are my second uncle and the others?" "Master Zhu, the master is inside, and the second master is out. Take us to find him. I have something to find grandpa." "Oh, okay, please follow me." Old Wen replied. He is the butler this time and is also very clear about Chengzu's affairs. Then he took the 3 people into the villa. The villa was very spacious. Several people walked on the cobblestone road. Both sides of the road were lush and green, with bright flowers and plants planted, and there were piles of fake stones. They passed by a water fountain. The house of the villa was also decorated in a very distinctive way, and it was very expensive. Led by Mr. Wen, the 3 of them came to the backyard of the villa. From a distance, they saw an old man in a white coat, lying on a recliner, basking in the sun. Next to the old man, there was also a cat boss lying. The cat boss had many scars on his body. When he noticed that everyone was coming, he opened his sharp eyes and looked at everyone. When he saw Mr. Wen, he closed his eyes and made a meow sound to remind the old man. Oh, someone is coming. When the old man heard the cat boss's cry, he also sat up straight from the recliner and looked at the 4 people coming. Chengzu? Who is that? He has such an aura at such a young age. That person is naturally Zhang Xingyun. As an old-fashioned quasi-king, Zhang Xingyun's eyesight is naturally not bad. In addition, with the reminder of the cat boss, he also knows that Zhang Xingyun is extraordinary. Grandpa, I'm here. I have something to discuss today. These 2 are my friends. Oh, discuss something? What to discuss? Zhang Xingyun said casually. It's about my father's inheritance. If we can discuss it today, we will discuss it. If not, we will go through the legal process. This is my friend, Zhang Xingyun, who is also the investigator of the 13th Brigade of Changling City. He can handle this matter. Looking at Zhang Xingyun's appearance, Chengzu also emphasized his tone. Well, let's talk about it in a few days. Your second uncle is also very busy these days, Zhang Xingyun said. Now he wants to delay it for a while, so that he has time to prepare. Grandpa, I'm telling you, you're too biased. You're still dragging your feet. For the sake of my second uncle and the others, I'm also your descendant. Why are you so biased? No matter what, you have to handle it for me today. No matter how busy my second uncle is, I'll wait for him here for an hour. If he can't come, I'll call my second aunt and cousin over. We must get these things done today. Chengzu's face was very ugly, and his voice became louder and louder. Meow the cat boss opened his eyes, looked at Chengzu fiercely, stretched out his claws, and licked a few times. Giant mantis. Hasn't seeing the cat boss like this, Zhang Xingyun called the giant mantis out to support him. Meow after the giant mantis appeared, the cat boss also got a little angry, and stared at the giant mantis. Hahaha, my friend is so young, but he has this strength. You can expect to be a superstar in the future. Looking at the giant mantis, Zhang Xingyun narrowed his eyes, smiled and said, then turned his head and said to Chengzu, I thought it was something. Since you want to solve it today, let's do it today. Let's go sit in the hall and talk about it after the people come. Zhang Xingyun called, and Zhang Xingyun and others followed him in. Since the giant claw mantis came out, Zhang Xingyun's attitude became very enthusiastic, and he was very enthusiastic after sitting down. You have this friend. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you make it like this? Zhang Xingyun seemed to be blaming Chengzu. He really didn't expect that his grandson who ran away from home a few years ago could actually meet a young quasi-king trainer, which surprised him. When he heard that Zhang Xingyun was an investigator, he thought he was just an elite trainer and didn't take it very seriously. After all, he was also a quasi-king and had connections. For an elite investigator, he would treat him with courtesy because of his status. Unexpectedly, this young man who looked so young actually had a quasi-king, which was a different nature. You have to know that a quasi-king, at this age, will not be able to escape if there is no accident in the future, so he changed his attitude. Mr. Cheng, as a friend of Chengzu, I'm here to discuss things as a friend entrusted by him. I hope you can handle this matter fairly, Zhang Xingyun said at the tea table. Of course. Zhang Xingyun also heard the meaning of Zhang Xingyun's words. That is, Zhang Xingyun is now supporting Chengzu as a friend, not handling the case as an investigator. As long as he is still biased as before, Zhang Xingyun will handle this matter as an investigator. When Chengzu's second uncle comes, we will start. Don't be in a hurry. Come and taste this tea. Zhang Xingyun invited the three people to drink tea, and also asked Mr. Wen to notify Chengzu's second uncle, and ask him to come back. Now several people chatted at the tea table, mostly Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Xingyun were chatting, and Chengzu occasionally interrupted. Chapter 313 Recovering Property. Soon, Chengzu's second uncle Zhang Xingyun and his wife also came to the Zhang family. Zhang Xingyun was a middle-aged man in a suit and tie, with a somewhat elegant temperament and regular features. "Father, why did you call me here?" As soon as he entered the door, Zhang Xingyun saw Chengzu and the other two sitting in the hall. He knew roughly what was going on, but he still asked. "Lei Xingyun, this is Investigator Zhang. He is a quasi-king trainer at a young age and a friend of Chengzu. This time, he came to take care of the property left by the boss 7 years ago." Zhang Xingyun introduced Zhang Xingyun, and then pointed out the purpose of his visit. "Nice to meet you." Zhang Xingyun bowed to Zhang Xingyun. "Hello, Mr. Cheng, you know why I came today, let's get straight to the point." "Well, but I still have to say, Chengzu, why do you have to be like this? We are all family." Zhang Xingyun said to Chengzu with a reproachful tone. "Heh, how many times have I said this before? Do you care about me? A family? Do you think I'm a family? A family that even took away my 3 royal families?" Seeing Zhang Xingyun's expression, Chengzu's temper also rose. "I won't waste my time with you. This is the information I sorted out. It's in my father's name. I'm going to take it all." Chengzu took out a stack of information and put it in front of everyone. 5 years ago, the market value of my father's company was about 2.5 billion, and his bank deposits were 130 million, as well as 3 sets of real estate and other properties. I'm the first heir, and these should be inherited by me. At that time, I was still a minor, and you were in custody. Now I can return them, right? Zhang Xingyun picked up the information and looked at it carefully without saying a word. His wife was also watching beside him. After a while, Zhang Xingyun finished reading the information and slowly spoke. "I didn't expect you to collect all this information. You are indeed the eldest brother's son. But listen to my advice. You are still young. Even if I hand over the company to you now, you can't run it. Let me run it first, and wait a few years. As for money, the money left by the eldest brother at that time was not as much as you said, but only more than 70 million. If you don't believe it, you can check the bank flow. As for money, I can give it to you, and the real estate is also okay. Of course, as for the company, I still suggest you wait a few years before talking about it. After all, your second uncle is not an outsider. Yes, your second uncle is not an outsider either. Let's do this. Your 3 royal families will also be replenished to you. It will be in your hands by the end of the year at the latest. I will also help you arrange the identity of the direct line." Zhang Xingyun's wife also said beside him. Then Zhang Xingyun was talking, and they were all persuading Chengzu. At this time, Chengzu's 2 aunts also came and joined in the persuasion. "Enough, this time we must make a conclusion," Chengzu said loudly, with a very firm attitude. "Why are you doing this? Don't you think about the fact that you have lived in the Zhang family for more than 10 years? Even if you left in anger, you still have the blood of our Zhang family flowing in your body." Zhang Xingyun still advised. "Don't talk so much nonsense. In the past few years, I have also recognized you. If Xingyun hadn't been here today, perhaps you would still ignore me. I have lived in the Zhang family for more than 10 years, and then what? After you gave him my 3 royal families, it is no longer important. Are you going to give it to him now or not? If not, Xingyun, please help me handle it, and we will go through the legal procedures. Anyway, my father also registered it with the Public Security Bureau, and I'm the first heir, so I'm not panicking. Since that's the case, you can express your attitude. Do you want to solve it privately, or go through the procedures?" Seeing that things have developed to this point, Chengzu's attitude is also very firm. Zhang Xingyun stood up to support him. "Of course it should be solved privately. There is no need to handle it in an official manner. Zhang Xiao, please sit down and have a cup of tea. We can just have tea and let them negotiate the matter." Zhang Xingyun saw Zhang Xingyun's attitude and spoke up, giving Zhang Xingyun and others a look. "Well, since you want to do this, let's settle the matter. Our disagreement is on the company's side, so let's talk about the company's affairs. Zhang Xingyun saw the look in his father's eyes and knew that he couldn't delay any longer, so he got down to business. Although the company's market value was 2.5 billion at that time, it also had a debt of 700 million, which was not like it is now, so we have to comprehensively consider the division of property. Over the years, through my management, the foreign debt has been repaid, and the market value has reached 10 billion after several rounds of financing. According to the 70% equity owned by your father at the time, and considering the inflation in recent years and other factors, Zhang Xingyun said it one by one, and after listening to Cheng Zhu, he also discussed some of the details. Lin Ji was sitting next to Zhang Xingyun. They were not proficient in company matters, so all they could do was come here to support Cheng Zhu. Cheng Zhu and Zhang Xingyun had been negotiating for half an hour before they came to a rough conclusion. Considering that the company is no longer what it was before, and the reasons are many and complicated, Zhang Xingyun gave several conditions, namely 1 billion elf coins and 40% of the company's equity. The 1 billion elf coins will be paid in 18 months, and the 40% equity will be transferred in 1 year. The two signed the agreement today. Cheng Zhu had no objection, and the two signed their names on the agreement, which was considered a smooth resolution of the property dispute. Among them, Zhang Xingyun played a huge role, although it was not visible on the surface. After the matter was done, Zhang Xingyun and his friends also declined to stay for dinner and left directly. Cheng Zhu, you must remember that you are a member of the Cheng family after all. When you have time in the future, go home more often, Cheng Xingyun said before leaving. Cheng Zhu just nodded a few times and left. Father, why did you signal me to make concessions just now? And so much. It doesn't have to be like this, even if the legal process is not necessary, Zhang Xingyun asked after Zhang Xingyun and his friends left. Now that things have come to this, what's wrong with giving more? Besides, Cheng Zhu is also my grandson, so it doesn't matter if I give him more. I used to think that this child looked stupid and had no future, so I treated him like this. It's different now. You can tell at a glance that Zhang Xingyun is no ordinary person. Since he is willing to help Cheng Zhu, it can be seen that they have a close relationship. So do you understand? Cheng Xingyun said meaningfully. Father, you are far-sighted. Well, so now I have to change my attitude towards Cheng Zhu, ease the relationship, and keep him in the Cheng family. After all, we are a family. Maybe there will be different gains in the future. Connections, sometimes they are worthless, and sometimes they are worth 1,000 gold. The more powerful the person, the more valuable they are. After speaking, he took Cat Boss back to the backyard of the villa, lay back on the recliner, stroked Cat Boss's head with his hand, and basked in the sun leisurely, just like an ordinary old man. Chapter 314, Cheng Zhu's Plan. Thank you so much this time, Xingyun. Without you, it wouldn't be so smooth. Let me toast you. After leaving the Cheng family, the three of them came to the largest restaurant in Changning. Cheng Zhu hosted the two and the elves for dinner. It's not all my credit. Your grandfather also stood by you and spoke for you, Zhang Xingyun said, after drinking the wine in his hand. Zhang Xingyun was not wrong. It was Cheng Zhu's grandfather who suggested that it would be so smooth until the end of the morning. How could I not know about such a person? Don't say it. If it weren't for you today, even if I could get the property back in the future, it would be less than 1/10 of it. When I get the money, I will definitely give you a reward. No, I went there out of friendship this time, not for your money. There's no need to pay me. Zhang Xingyun declined. What he did today was indeed out of friendship between friends, so he intervened. Haha, let's talk about this later. Drink. Cheng Zhu no longer mentioned the reward, but urged him to drink. Xingyun, what are your plans for the future? Cheng Zhu asked, after filling Zhang Xingyun and Lin Ji's glasses with wine. Plans, be an investigator now, and go to Magic City University in September. What about you two? Zhang Xingyun thought for a while, replied, and asked again. For me, in the short term, I plan to upgrade my Pokémon to the elite level, while learning business knowledge. In the future, after I digest this property, I want to start a business and set up a new company. With the funds allocated today, I have a startup fund for the future. I may not go the way of a trainer in the future. I want to go the way of business, and of course I will also take into account the cultivation of Pokémon. Chengzu talked about his plans for the future, and Zhang Xingyun nodded from time to time. Chengzu's plan is actually the choice of many young people. If you start a company, the income will not be lower than that of a trainer, and it may even be higher. Of course, it also requires the participation of high-level trainers to develop and grow. If there are no powerful trainers involved, it is not very convenient in some aspects, such as the operation of some resources. If there are no powerful trainers as guarantors, ordinary people and low-level trainers alone cannot do it. Of course, some game industries and IT industries are exceptions, but the Pokémon industry is the most profitable industry in society at present, without a doubt. When the time comes, come and participate, Xingyun. The company cannot do without a high-level trainer. Let's make a fortune together. Haha, definitely. Zhang Xingyun laughed and agreed. Xingyun, don't underestimate it. This is not worse than what you earn. For example, if you have the combat power of a Quasi King now, you should earn 5 or 6 million a day when you go out hunting on average. Well, about the same. Zhang Xingyun nodded. The gains that Chengzu mentioned were generally about the same. If you were out most of the time that year, you would have made about 10 billion in revenue. Of course, this is based on a low-level Quasi-King level trainer. You may become stronger in the future. Like my Cheng family's small company, the annual profit is also 40 to 50 billion. Of course, this includes the management of my second uncle and others, and most of them are operated by some low-level trainers and ordinary people. Zhang Xingyun was also a little surprised after listening. The arrival of the elf era has also brought different developments to business. So there is a lot of room for development in this area. Even with your current strength, as long as it is managed properly, it will not be worse than my small company. What we lack now is experience and connections. We can learn experience, and connections will not be lacking, as long as we have strength. In this way, we don't have to take risks to hunt in the wild, don't you think? The reason why many people cultivate elves and increase their strength is not for these. Chengzu spoke eloquently and explained one by one in detail. It can be seen that he has studied this aspect. Well, what you said makes a lot of sense. Zhang Xingyun said with approval. So Xingyun, when I set up a company someday, you must come. Even if it's just a name, I won't treat you badly. Chengzu stood up and said to Zhang Xingyun with a very sincere look. In Chengzu's eyes, Zhang Xingyun is the future king of the strong. If he participates, then the success of the company can be foreseen. Well, okay, I will do it when the time comes. There is no rush now, and you can still take your time. You'd better improve the strength of the elves. After all, this is the elf era. Zhang Xingyun also said with a smile. Well, these are some of my small plans. Hahaha, let's not talk about it. Let's eat meat and drink today, and then we will go to have some fun later. After dinner, the three of them went to have fun. It was around 10 o'clock in the evening before Zhang Xingyun returned home. After taking a shower, Zhang Xingyun sat on the sofa in the living room, browsing the computer and looking at some company structures. After browsing around, I realized that what Chengzu said was true, and there really was such a thing. Moreover, the annual income of a company run by 50 or 60 low-level trainers and ordinary people is higher than that of a low-level Quasi-King trainer. There is no risk of going out. When I become a king, I can really operate it. I believe that the captain and Uncle Ling have also set up a company. After all, they also have families. Unlike the previous life, in the current Pokémon age, in principle, investigators can do business as long as they pass the assessment and do not affect their normal work. Kami while thinking, Stottle ran to Zhang Xingyun and shouted. The general idea is that Stottle feels that after this period of energy accumulation, the energy in his body has reached a critical value and it is time to break through. Great, Stottle, you are about to become an elite, and those high-level energy blocks are not eaten in vain. Zhang Xingyun touched Stottle's head, looked at Stottle's strong body, and said with great satisfaction. When Stottle was still a Pokémon egg, it was Zhang Xingyun who took care of it, and now it is also going to be an elite. All along, In Zhang Xingyun's eyes, Squirtle and the others were the second team Pokémons that needed to be taken care of, but now they can also take charge of their own affairs. Squirtle's qualifications are not low, and his Wava Guide talent is also excellent. It is not surprising that he can advance to the elite level in Squirtle's state. After advancing to the elite level, he can also rely on evolution to improve his strength. In this way, Squirtle is not much worse than Undertaking and the others. In terms of combat power, he has also entered the first echelon. Chapter 315, Turtle advances to Elite. On the second day, in a training room of the Changning City Club, Zhang Xingyun, Squirtle and Pidgeot stood opposite each other. Come and eat these, it should be enough. Zhang Xingyun took out two things, one blue and one brown, and handed them to Squirtle and Pidgeot respectively. After the two elves took them and swallowed them, the energy fluctuations on their bodies began to fluctuate. After a while, the energy fluctuations on their bodies became stronger and stronger. Pidgeot let out a loud cry, flapped its wings, and flew into the air. After flying in the air for a circle, the energy fluctuations on its body also broke through. Now Pidgeot's strength has also reached the middle elite stage. Naturally, Pidgeot's middle elite stage is a middle stage that can fight across levels. Even if it faces some late elite elves, it will not lose the upper hand and can even kill them with a backhand. If Zhang Xingyun's spirit attachment technique is added, plus other advantageous conditions, it can also compete with some weaker qua-seeking elves for a few moves. It's good that you've broken through. Pidgeot, fly over there and adapt to your newly broken strength. Don't disturb Stottle. After hearing Zhang Xingyun's words, Pidgeot flew to the side and adapted to his newly broken strength through some simple training. Kami Stottle is still breaking through. Compared with Pidgeot's breakthrough, Stottle's breakthrough seems a bit difficult. Stottle's breakthrough is from ordinary to elite, so it takes more time. Kami Stottle shouted, and the water energy and Wava Guide around its body were vibrating. Buzz with a muffled hum. Stottle successfully broke through to the elite level and became an elite level Pokémon. Well, not bad. Looking at the elite level energy fluctuations of Stottle, Zhang Xingyun nodded with satisfaction. With Stottle's qualifications, it is normal for Stottle to successfully break through to the elite level. Kami after Stottle completed the breakthrough, while the energy on its body was still fluctuating, its body flashed white light, which was the light of evolution. Stop, Squirtle. It's not suitable to evolve now. Wait for you to adapt for a few days and hone your strength before evolving. Zhang Xingyun shouted when the light of evolution on Squirtle flashed. Squirtle had just broken through in strength, so it was not the time to evolve. Zhang Xingyun had prepared the resources for Squirtle to evolve into Blastoise. It was not impossible to evolve now, but it was not yet mature enough, and could not evolve perfectly. That's why he stopped Squirtle's evolution. Kami Squirtle in the light also suppressed his evolution after hearing Zhang Xingyun's shout. Slowly, the light of evolution on Squirtle gradually dimmed until it disappeared. Kami well, Squirtle, it's not the time to evolve now. What you need to do now is to hone your strength and wait until you have fully mastered it before evolving. This way you can achieve twice the result with half the effort. Kami Squirtle nodded his little head to show that he understood. Come on, Squirtle, take this immutable stone with you first, and take it off when the time is right. Zhang Xingyun exchanged an immutable stone from the system and put it on Squirtle, so that Squirtle would not evolve. Okay, now let's practice a few times to see how strong you are after the breakthrough. Squirtle used the winding wave missile to attack that shield and see the effect of the attack. Zhang Xingyun pointed to a shield 50 meters away and said to Squirtle. Squirtle nodded, and blue wave energy emerged from his body. When he raised his hands, 6 basketball-sized wave missiles appeared. The 6 wave missiles in front of Squirtle were far from ordinary in quality and quantity, and Squirtle was able to control them very steadily without any floating phenomenon. How the 6 wave missiles were entangled with each other at a small distance and flew towards the shield. If you don't observe carefully, you might think it was a large wave missile. Boom with a loud bang, Squirtle's wave missile hit the shield, and dust flew. When the smoke and dust cleared, Zhang Xingyun looked forward to observe the situation of the shield. After comprehensive consideration, he found that Squirtle's attack was no weaker than some mid-elite attacks. Well, it's at the level of mid-elite. Keep it up. Next, use the dispersed wave missile. After the arrangement, Squirtle continued to try. Squirtle's performance did not disappoint Zhang Xingyun. It met Zhang Xingyun's expectations. Come here, Squirtle, let's see the power of your water-based moves. Zhang Xingyun did not forget that Squirtle is a water-based elf. Although Wave Guide is very important, the water-based elf should also pay attention to training. Water Cannon, Water Wave, Bubble Beam, Freezing Beam, Salt Water Cannon, etc. all performed very well. Well, very good. Here are these things for you. Continue training. Zhang Xingyun took out a few more things suitable for Squirtle training and asked Squirtle to continue training. Cammy, this is for training your Wava Guide, and this is for training water-based moves. After giving a few pointers and observing them, Zhang Xingyun walked towards other elves after finding that there was no problem. After circling around, he found that the elves were training normally and did not need his instructions for the time being. Seeing the elves training enthusiastically, Zhang Xingyun also adjusted the system and made a training plan. Cammy, Squirtle has advanced, so Shakiris and others are almost the same. In this case, some adjustments must be made to some food. Electric Beast and others are probably the same. It seems that the advanced energy blocks of other systems must be developed quickly. If you are short of them now, you can use your merit points to exchange them on the official website of the investigator. Zhang Xingyun patted his head, took out his mobile phone, opened the official website of the investigator, and exchanged all his merit points for advanced energy blocks. But the exchange was not much, only 3 blocks for 1 elf, mixed with element spirit. It can still be eaten for a while. If I can't get the formula of the advanced energy cube in half a month, I can only exchange it through the system. Zhang Xingyun thought to himself that it can be exchanged through the system, but he felt that it was unnecessary. As long as it can be obtained in reality, there is no need to exchange it through the system. Like now, Zhang Xingyun will consider exchanging it through the system. The elves spent this day in training, and Zhang Xingyun did the same. At 9 o'clock in the evening, after returning home, he also received several messages on WeChat. They were group messages from the Changning 13th search team, which reminded Zhang Xingyun and others to go to work tomorrow. I have to go to work again tomorrow. The vacation time passed so quickly. I didn't pay much attention, and it was time to go to work. Chapter 316 Vacation is over. It was Monday again. At about 8 in the morning, Zhang Xingyun came to the investigator's office. Good morning, Xingyun. Good morning, Brother K. After greeting Zhang K, he sat down at the desk and started working for the day. In the office, only the 2 of them had arrived, and the others had not yet arrived. The holiday time passed so quickly. I didn't feel anything yet, and it was time to go to work again. It was so fast. Zhang K leaned on his office chair with both hands and stretched slightly. Well, I feel it's fast too, but time is like this. Zhang Xingyun raised his head and responded. That's right. Good morning, Brother K, Xingyun. At this time, Yaosan also walked into the office and greeted the 2. Good morning, Sister Yaosan. Yaosan is here. Have you been out to play these days? The first question was Zhang Xingyun's response, and the second question was Zhang K's. No. Yaosan shook his head and started chatting. Then Liu, Huzaiming and others also walked in one after another and sat back at their workstations. Captain Lin Jianzhang also came once, praised the performance of the mission last week, and then went out, probably because he had something to do. Time passed slowly, and Zhang K and Liu went out to deal with things, while Zhang Xingyun and others stayed in the office. I'll go to the training ground for a while, call me if you need anything. Zhang Xingyun stood up and said to Yaosan and others. After getting a response, he came to the training ground and trained the elves. If there is a mission push, you can also see it on your mobile phone. There is probably no mission at this time in the morning, so Zhang Xingyun came to train the elves. Sure enough, until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun returned to the office, and there was no mission. Sister Yaosan, Captain Hu and the others are also going on a mission. At this time, only Hyeosun was in the office, because she was on duty today. Well, they went there when they had a mission. If you want to do a mission, you can search for the mission yourself without waiting for the mission to be pushed. Of course, it doesn't matter if you want to be more leisurely. Hyeosun responded. Search it yourself. Just click on the small speaker in the lower left corner and you will know the rest yourself. Okay. Zhang Xingyun, who got the reminder, immediately clicked on the small speaker and the computer interface jumped to another interface. There were rows of tasks, all kinds of them, and there were also cities near Changning. There were also provincial and national areas above, and tasks could also be received there and then executed. Zhang Xingyun originally thought that the small speaker was for chatting, so he ignored it. And Hyeosun and the others thought that Zhang Xingyun was a newcomer, so they didn't tell him in those days. Task push is pushed to you by big data, based on your strength and other factors, and these, you need to measure them yourself. If you want to be Buddhist, just complete certain task indicators every month. Hyeosun spoke again. Okay, thank you Sister Hyeosun for reminding me. Well, it's okay. When you just joined the company, we thought you were inexperienced, so we didn't tell you for the time being. Yeah. After responding, Zhang Xingyun browsed the tasks. The tasks inside have the required strength marked. Some require the strength of a quasi king, and some require the strength of a king. There are the most elite tasks, and the least are the ones for the strength of a king. As for the champion, there is not a single one. It is a big deal for the champion level, and it has to be handled by the provincial capital and the central government. There will not be a champion in an ordinary prefecture level city. Ding dong, Zhang Xingyun's computer received a task push, and he clicked it to read it. According to the introduction of the task, this task is not very difficult, and it can be said that there is no danger. Because this task takes place in Changning City, it is caused by a group of students. There are mainly two groups of students gambling and fighting. Among them, several have ordinary peak elves, and there are signs of violent conflict. After comprehensive consideration, it is roughly necessary to deal with the elite search officer, so the big data is pushed to Zhang Xingyun. After reading it, Zhang Xingyun clicked to receive the task, and then left the office, and rushed to the location. They are all students, only 17 or 18 years old, and naturally young and energetic. Maybe they will fight, because of a disagreement. It was a gang fight, and there were elves among them, which caused a very bad turmoil and influence. In addition, the hot-blooded teenagers would not think too much. Pi, hurry up, Pidgeot, fly over there, you will see a park. Pidgeot flapped its wings and flew quickly. Boom boom boom. When he was almost there, Zhang Xingyun heard bursts of noise coming from the mission site, indicating that the battle had begun. At this time, a melee was taking place in Qingfeng Park. One side was wearing brand name clothes, and looked a little arrogant. The other side was wearing ordinary clothes, and looked a little ugly. There were many elves on the field fighting, among which 3 ordinary peak elves were the most eye-catching. The strength of other elves ranged from ordinary to novice level. The elves were fighting, and occupied multiple battlefields, and there were circles of people watching the excitement around them. TSK, a bunch of poor guys. Only Liting has some strength, the others are just so-so. But Liting, you are just like that. Remember to go back to class and shout a few times that I'm a poor guy, and call me dad in public. Ha ha ha. I told you to speak to these poor guys. Ha ha ha. A young man in the costume Linoop said with a laugh, his tone full of sarcasm. Weiming, don't be too happy too early. I may not lose, but I didn't expect you to be so unable to lose that you actually used 2 elves to besiege one of me. Bah, I can't afford to lose. Liting responded with a spit. The few people on the field are all students from Changning's Noble High School. The 2 sides are considered factions in the school. Noble schools also have to consider some admission rates, especially under the influence of Zhang Xingyun last year. They recruit more poor students. The poor students who can be recruited are naturally not bad. After entering the school, they occupy a lot of school resources with their hard work and serious study, and also promote some learning atmosphere. This also caused dissatisfaction among some wealthy students in the school, and thus the gambling fight that happened today. Among the 2 groups, Weiming's side had 7 people, and Liting's side had 5 people. In the Battle of Elves, Li Ming's side was also at a disadvantage. It was obvious that Li Ting would lose sooner or later. I was just talking about fighting, but I didn't say you can't send more. Besides, didn't I allow you to send one more ordinary peak elf? Besides, poor guys like you have the resources to cultivate another one. Most of the people on Li Ting's side only had one elf, while some of Wei Ming's side had 2 or 3, which was already several more elves. Chapter 317 Wei Heng. The aftermath of the battle, bang bang bang, also made the 2 security guards on the side anxious. In a battle of this scale, the 2 of them could not intervene, and could only watch from the side, and ask for support. On the field, the Pokémons on Li Ting's side were beaten down one after another, and only 5 Pokémons were still fighting on the field. There were 11 Pokémons on the opposite side. Let's go in person later, and let these few Pokémons have a look. Although we are poor, we are also people with blood. We don't have the resources to cultivate a second Pokémon, but we dare to fight in person. Besides, there is no rule that trainers cannot go in. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Li Ting said to his companions around him. Wait for me, we are still preparing. Hurry up, the Pokémons are about to give up. Today's battle was beyond his expectations. He didn't expect that the people on the opposite side would not follow the rules and fight with more people. If it was a one-on-one, they really wouldn't lose. Although they came from ordinary families, they were admitted to the noble high school, and their strength and ability were not bad. But compared with Wei Ming's people, Li Ting's people are still far behind, and the resources alone are far behind. Hey, Brother Ming, it seems that the poor guys on the opposite side want to compete with us in real life. Do you want to continue? A tall and thin young man next to Wei Ming asked. What are you afraid of? We are also ready. We have the help of the elves. Just remember not to kill anyone. Let these peasants be so arrogant in school. If we don't suppress them, they won't recognize themselves. Wei Ming said coldly, secretly put on a ring and prepared himself. But Brother Ming, won't this have a bad influence? It's not easy to deal with the investigators. What are you afraid of? As long as they don't kill anyone, I can deal with it. Besides, my cousin is also a search officer in Changning, and a captain. What are you afraid of? Oh. Boom, are you ready now? If you are ready, we will go. We have no other choice. Okay. Compete when Li Ting and the others were about to roll up their sleeves and do it themselves. Zhang Xingyun arrived. Whoosh whoosh, Pidgey had flapped its wings, causing clouds of dust when it landed. Huh. Inspector? So young. Seeing Zhang Xingyun's appearance, the people present also stop fighting. What are you doing? Elf battle? Is there an elf battle like yours? Look at how chaotic the field is. Zhang Xingyun shouted loudly, and then said to the 2 security guards. Evacuate the crowd. Don't let them watch. It's not a good influence. Yes. After hearing this, the 2 went to evacuate the crowd. When the people around saw the inspector coming, they knew that there was nothing to watch, so they dispersed. Look at you. Are you ready to do it yourself? You've rolled up your sleeves. Real life park. Don't you know the urban security law? Looking at Li Ting and others, Zhang Xingyun spoke again. All of you, come with me to the police station and make a statement. That's not necessary, Inspector. This is a normal elf battle, right? We haven't started yet. Wei Ming said with a smile on his face. The people around him had similar expressions, while the people on Li Ting's side were very restrained and didn't say anything. Stop talking nonsense. Come with me and explain the situation. If I'm sure there's nothing wrong, you can leave. Zhang Xingyun said firmly, insisting on handling the matter impartially. At this time, 2 security guards also came over and looked at Zhang Xingyun. Did anyone drive here? Yes, we were patrolling around in our car, and we only reported this after we found it. An older security guard said. Okay, send these 12 people to the nearest public security bureau in batches and let them make a statement. Inspector Zhang, there is no need for that. By the way, my cousin is Wei Heng, who is also your investigator. This is not a big deal, right? If you want to make a statement, just let them go. There is no need for us. Wei Ming came over, looked at the name tag on Zhang Xingyun's chest, and said with a smile, and mentioned his cousin Wei Heng. After hearing what Wei Ming said, Li Ting and others looked even uglier and felt powerless in their hearts because they were not like Wei Ming, who had a cousin. Oh, your cousin is your cousin. Now I ask you, are you going to leave or not? If not, I have the right to force you to leave. Zhang Xingyun's face darkened, and he said in a cold voice. He had spoken so many times, but the man in front of him was still so smooth. Okay, I'll go right away. Seeing Zhang Xingyun's stubborn look, Wei Ming also smiled awkwardly and got into the security guard's car. After a while, Zhang Xingyun came to the Public Security Bureau and took statements from these students in a room. The reason was not very complicated. There was a conflict, and then they asked the elves to fight. After being seen by the patrolling security guard, they reported it to the search officer, and then this scene appeared. Fortunately, there was no large-scale fight, but you have this tendency. Now I will give you your punishment. Each of you will be fined 1000 elf coins and your parents and school will be notified. Do you have any objections? After asking the reason clearly, Zhang Xingyun gave his punishment, which was mainly symbolic. He thought it would not be too heavy. Zhang search officer, let alone 1000 elf coins, we can pay 10,000, but teachers and parents don't have to pay. Wei Ming and others said on the side. No, why didn't you think of it just now? I was already very light. If I was slower, you would fight. It would not be like this. Zhang Xingyun refused. His way of handling is a normal way of handling, and there are precedents to follow. This was barely considered a student fight, and the punishment was roughly the same. It was just that Wei Ming was a bit smooth and kept singing the opposite tune while leading, and the others did not say anything, and it seemed that they were satisfied with Zhang Xingyun's punishment. Dong dong, the door of the room rang, and with a click, a young man in the uniform of an investigator walked in from outside. His uniform was slightly different from Zhang Xingyun's in terms of shoulders. Zhang Xingyun's was 1 star, and his was 3 stars. Brother, you're here. Seeing the person coming, Wei Ming shouted happily. The person who walked in was Wei Heng, Wei Ming's cousin. It's him. After seeing Wei Heng's appearance, Zhang Xingyun remembered something. When he got the elf egg of young Karis and rushed back to Changning, he met Wei Heng riding a sonic dragon. At that time, he looked at him with a proud look on his face, ignored him, and flew away directly. At that time, Zhang Xingyun did not take it to heart. Helping him was a situation where he could help or not, and it was understandable that he did not help. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318 Processing. Hello, Inspector Zhang. Hello, Captain Wei. Zhang Xingyun stood up and shook hands with Wei Heng as a greeting. As they were both investigators, this was something they had to do. Wei Heng probably wouldn't recognize Zhang Xingyun in this state. Li Ting and the others became nervous when they saw Wei Heng coming in, because Wei Heng's rank seemed to be higher than Zhang Xingyun's, and they might suffer this time. How do you handle this matter? Perhaps because they were both investigators, or because they had read Zhang Xingyun's information, or because of other reasons. Wei Heng's attitude was not as arrogant as last time, but he asked politely. Then Zhang Xingyun also talked about the result of the handling, and Wei Heng nodded after listening. This handling was very fair, and did not favor either side. You can pay more money, and forget about the others. Of course, they will do whatever you want. Wei Ming said, and his attitude changed a little. Inspector Zhang, you see this proposal is very good, how about? Wei Heng also spoke at this time, with a slight smile on his face. Captain Wei, if you want to deal with it, do it impartially. I won't change my mind, just because he's your cousin, right? Besides, my punishment is not too severe. Zhang Xingyun replied immediately. Wei Heng left a bad first impression on him. As a fellow investigator, Zhang Xingyun had given him enough face. After listening to Zhang Xingyun's words, Wei Heng also frowned and stood aside with a somewhat unhappy look. He felt a little unhappy about Zhang Xingyun's behavior of not giving him face. Usually, when encountering such a small matter, he would have come forward. Reasonably speaking, Zhang Xingyun should have given him face, but he didn't. No way. Zhang, the searcher, why are you doing this? Just for these poor guys? Wei Heng didn't speak, but Wei Ming spoke. Please be careful with your words. What's wrong with being poor? I was also poor. Besides, everyone is equal before the law. Zhang Xingyun retorted. After hearing Zhang Xingyun's words, Li Ting and others looked much better. They also saw that Zhang Xingyun had no intention of favoring. It's you. Wei Heng also thought of Zhang Xingyun at this moment. When he came in just now, he found that he looked familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere. After hearing what Zhang Xingyun said, he remembered the incident in the wild. Wasn't the one he called Mudlegs the Zhang search in front of him? Thinking of this, Wei Heng's face became even uglier. He was very polite to this Mudlegs just now, which made him, who was always noble, a little uncomfortable. Captain Wei, if you have nothing to do, just go out. I handled this matter and you have no right to interfere. Then he said to Wei Ming and others. Of course, if you have any opinions about my handling, you can also complain to me. My credentials are here, you can go. Zhang Xingyun pointed to the sign on his chest and said to everyone, you don't even give me this face? Wei Heng approached Zhang Xingyun and said in a low voice, sorry, I'm just doing my job. If you have any objections to my handling of the matter, you are welcome to complain to me. You. Captain Wei, if you have nothing to do, please go out. Remember to wait until someone responds when you knock on the door, and don't come in casually. HMPH seeing that this was the Public Security Bureau, Wei Heng looked ugly, snorted coldly and walked out the door. Okay, if you have no objection, sign your name, and then you can leave after your parents come. He took out 12 sheets of paper from the printer and put them in front of the 12 people, asking them to sign. Brother Ming, sign it. This guy is stubborn. Please be careful with your words. Zhang Xingyun warned. After hearing this, Wei Ming silently picked up the pen and signed his name, and then walked to the side and sat down. Zhang Xingyun also turned on the office computer in the room and sent a message to their school. Zhang Xingyun didn't care whether he would offend Wei Heng. He didn't belong to their team. Besides, he had his own opinions about him, so there was no need to please him. Maybe rejecting him was not a wise choice. So what? Zhang Xingyun was very disgusted with people like Wei Heng and Wei Ming. They liked to be special, just because they had some money. He would not indulge them. Not to mention that it was because of the last time. Even if there was no last time, Zhang Xingyun would still deal with it in the same way. Zhang Xingyun did not like to offend people, but he was not afraid of offending people. Besides, he did not favor anyone in this handling result. The Xian Wang family of Biguan? It looks a bit like an Alvorish. It's really a hairline. I don't know the east, south, west, north, and north. Everyone has been poor. Zhang Xingyun complained in his heart. The Wei family only had a Xian Wang a few years ago, but not in Changning, but in the neighboring city of Biguan. At the level of Xian Wang, Zhang Xingyun felt that, if he was given a few years, he could also become a Xian Wang, instead of being like the person in the Wei family, who became a Xian Wang at an old age. Soon, Li Ting's parents came to pick them up. From the way they treated people and the clothes they wore, you can also see how well off their family was. Zhang Xingyun did not embarrass them. He just said a few words and let them go back. Everyone went back, leaving Wei Ming alone. His parents were in the next city, so they didn't come that early. My cousin is outside, he can take me there. Wei Ming said, no longer as calm and smooth as before. Your father is here, let's wait until he comes. If your brother is okay, your cousin is not. Zhang Xingyun refused and looked at the computer. You. What? No. Then sit down. After a while, a wealthy middle-aged man came outside the house. When he saw Wei Heng outside, he asked immediately, Heng, what's going on? Can't you settle it? I have to come over here. What's going on? Third uncle, I also showed up, but he didn't give me face, so I had to come by yourself. Did you offend him before? I guess so. Wei Liang frowned and spoke in a calm voice. Is it our enemy family? No, he is from a poor family, but he is not simple. He is a person with special abilities, and he also has a giant mantis of Qua-seeking level. If I had known before, I would not have done that. Forget it. Let's not talk about it. Just follow me in. Okay. Dong dong come in. Hello, Zhang Xiaocha. My son is a little impulsive. Please don't blame me. Wei Liang said with a smile as soon as he came in. Well, I just suggested. Zhang Xingyun repeated what he said just now with other parents. He also refused a red envelope that Wei Liang stuffed in and let them go back. Don't do this again in the future. Be more restrained. Fortunately this matter is not a big deal and that Zhang Xiaocha didn't deliberately target you. On the way back, Wei Liang said to Wei Yiming. Okay, Dad. Chapter 319, Squirtle Evolution. After handling the matter, Zhang Xingyun returned to the Elf Center. When he walked into the office, he saw Zhang Ke and others were there. You're here. How did things go? Well, it's okay. It's just a conflict between students. It's not a big deal. It's just that the captain of another team, Wei Heng, wanted to intervene, but I refused. After saying that, he took the quilts and went to the water dispenser to get a glass of water. Tell me more about it. Zhang Ke and others were also excited when they heard it, so they asked him to continue. It's that his cousin was among those students. After I arrived at the scene, I took them to the Public Security Bureau to take a statement. Among them, Zhang Xingyun repeated the story, and everyone understood what happened. Hey, Xingyun, well done. I've been annoyed with that kid for a long time. He looks so arrogant all day long. Zhang Ke complained. Zhang Ke and Liu Wen's family backgrounds are considered ordinary in this team, and they are also disgusted with such things. Really? We are from a poor family and we don't steal or rob. What qualifications do those people have to look down on us? I really can't understand. Yeah, they are still some Navo-ish. Some real families don't have them. The last time I was in Biguan City, the children of the Cheng family really performed well. Liu Wen said, talking about his experience in Biguan City at that time. It's good that Wei Yiming's father is reasonable. If he puts on airs, I won't be so easy to talk to. Zhang Xingyun put down the cup and looked at the computer. Xingyun, you have offended Wei Heng today. You have to be careful. Hu Ziming reminded. Well, I will pay attention. If he comes hard, I'm not afraid of him. That's right. His 4 Qua-seeking spirits really can't do anything to you. Hu Ziming also nodded and said in agreement. If Wei Heng is not stupid, he will not retaliate or anything, because today this is a trivial matter, and there is no need to offend a capable person because of this trivial matter. This is also the reason why Wei Heng did not dare to say any bad words when he was asked to leave by Zhang Xingyun in the Public Security Bureau. Because he still has some brains. After working for a while, it was 6 o'clock. He said hello and went to the training ground of the Pokémon Center to pick up a few little ones and went back home. In the next few days, some people had 1 task a day and some had 2 tasks a day, which were all completed smoothly. On this day, it was Zhang Xingyun's turn to be on duty again. Although it is called duty, there is usually nothing to do. It is just for the person on duty to look at the computer and rest. After sitting on the desk for a while, Zhang Ke happened to be not busy, so he asked Zhang Ke to replace himself, and then came to Luohu's secret realm. The water energy here in Luohu's secret realm is more sufficient, so it is perfect for Squirtle to evolve here. Riding Pidgeot to a small river, after driving away all the Pokémon in the river, he set about evolving Squirtle. After advancing to the elite level, after a few days of polishing, the strength of Squirtle has stabilized, and it is time for evolution. Zhang Xingyun took out several large pieces of ice that were emitting cold air, surrounded Squirtle in them, let Squirtle feel and absorb the energy of this deep sea ice crystal, and then took out some treasures for it to eat. After seeing that it was almost done, he took out 2 bottles of blue reagents, and asked Squirtle to drink them. Kami evolve, Squirtle. Take off the immutable stone on Squirtle's body and let Squirtle start to evolve. Kami after taking off the immutable stone, Squirtle emitted the light of evolution, and began its evolution. Go and deal with it. Mantis, everyone pay attention to the surroundings. Any elves that approach, drive them away immediately, and kill those who resist. Zhang Xingyun said lightly. In the perception of mental power, He found that several elves came nearby, so he asked Mantis to go and deal with them. Hassan Mantis immediately disappeared from the spot, and the red figure rushed in one direction. Kami, in the light of evolution, Kamestow's figure began to lengthen, and its outline was also changing. Kami, I went to look up the anime, and the call of Blastoise in it was like this. There's I one. A mature and deep voice came from the light ball, and a moment later, Blastoise appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun and the elves. Congratulations, Blastoise. Kami, looking at the sturdy Blastoise in front of him. Zhang Xingyun nodded with satisfaction. Blastoise is a giant turtle-shaped Pokémon that walks mainly on 2 legs, and it sometimes walks on 4 legs. Blastoise's body is dark blue. Its front and rear limbs are short and sturdy, divided into sections by joints, and each has 3 toes. Its tail no longer looks like a wave, but has become a short and thick blue tail. Its lower jaw is milky white, and its ears are triangular. Its torso is covered with a huge and heavy turtle shell. The back of the shell is brown, the belly is light yellow, and there are white edges in between. 2 water cannons extended from the front of the turtle shell, and these 2 water cannons can be retracted into the turtle shell. Time flies. Now you can also stand on your own, and you are no longer the childish Squirtle. Kami Blastoise lowered its head very docilely, allowing Zhang Xingyun to touch it. After looking at Blastoise, Zhang Xingyun opened the system to scan it. Name: Blastoise. Male. Attribute: water characteristics. Torrent qualification: deep blue strength. Elite early skills: impact, tail shaking, rocket headbutt, retracting into shell, water gun, wave missile, freezing ray, water cannon, water wave, praying for rain, iron wall, cannon, water cannon, freezing fist, enhanced fist, blizzard, surfing, ninja, shadow clone, destruction ray, hold, snoring. Although the strength is still in the early elite, it is about to break through. As long as a while, it can break through to the middle elite. In terms of qualifications, it has reached the dark blue level as expected, and has not been upgraded to the purple level. As for skills, a lot of moves have been added with the evolution, and the skill pool is full, which is worthy of Zhang Xingyun's investment of so many resources. Come on, Blastoise, face the stream and use your water cannon moves to blast it. Kami, after hearing this, Blastoise faced the stream, and the 2 cannons on its back faintly appeared with blue stars. The next second, 2 water cannons blasted out. Boom, with a roar, the water in the stream and the aquatic plants and other things at the bottom were blown up, mixed with water and splashed everywhere. Zhang Xingyun's eyes lit up slightly, and a blue barrier appeared in front of him, blocking all the flying water. After the water cannon, the stream was also blown wider and deeper, and the mud mixed with the river water looked very turbid. The shore was also piled with river mud and aquatic plants, and it was wet. Well, the power of the water cannon is full marks. Kami chapter 320, first trial of super evolution. Boom boom boom, Zhang Xingyun asked Blastoise to use other moves, and the effects were very good, meeting the standards. Not bad, not bad. Then let's try a new evolution next. Kami Nidonido hey boo, the electric monsters were all puzzled. Didn't Blastoise just evolve? How could it evolve again? You will know later. Zhang Xingyun smiled mysteriously, and took out 2 stones from his backpack. One was the key stone, and the other was Blastoise's mega evolution stone. Hassan, come and see. Mantis, you will have your share later. Hassan Mantis responded, and stood aside and watched. Come on, Blastoise, put on this mega evolution stone. Kami Blastoise put on the ornament embedded with the mega evolution stone, and now stood in front of Zhang Xingyun. Okay, get ready. Kami then mega evolved Blastoise. Zzzz. As soon as the words fell, the keystone in Zhang Xingyun's hand began to flash, and the mega evolution stone worn by Blastoise also flashed. Slowly, several light chains appeared on the keystone in Zhang Xingyun's hand, lingering around Blastoise's body. Kami Blastoise only felt a kind of energy filling its body, and the light of evolution also emerged from its body. At this time, Zhang Xingyun's mind flashed the scene when Blastoise was just born, growing up and accompanying it all the way, like a movie, flashing in front of him, and a feeling appeared in his heart, the feeling of patience, companionship, and guidance that he usually treated Blastoise. Is this the power of bondage? It is also the emotion I usually have for Blastoise. Zhang Xingyun whispered softly. Hasan Nido Shaki Shaki. The elves were all watching carefully, witnessing this scene. Kami Blastoise also felt Zhang Xingyun's emotions. Through emotional communication, it felt Zhang Xingyun's emotions for it more and responded. The light became brighter because of these emotional exchanges. Slowly, the light dissipated, and Super Blastoise appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun and the elves. Super Blastoise grew a small turtle shell on each arm, and there was a water cannon in each shell. At the same time, the two water cannons on the back merged into a huge water cannon growing in the middle of the turtle shell, and the muzzle of the huge water cannon exceeded the head of Super Blastoise. Due to the huge barrel, Super Blastoise's body made its limbs grow thicker in order to stand upright. Its eyes turned red, its chin grew a tip, and there was a bulge on its forehead. Not only did its appearance change, but its characteristics also changed, from a torrent to a super launcher. In the game, the role of the super launcher is to increase the power of wave and Wava Guide skills, which is similar in reality. And Blastoise's Wava Guide talent will not be very low. Combined with the characteristics of this super launcher, it can be turned into a turret. Is the strength at the peak of the mid-elite level? Zhang Xingyun didn't need to release his mental power, open his eyes or use the system to check. He could naturally feel the strength and feeling of Blastoise. What about my spirit attachment? A spirit attachment book was placed on Blastoise, and the momentum of Blastoise instantly reached the peak of the elite level. In the super evolved state, the increase in my spirit attachment technique is even greater. Through the feeling in the dark, Zhang Xingyun could roughly judge. Blastoise is using all its strength to create water waves, and the target is still the small river. Kami, the giant cannon on Blastoise's back, and the two water cannons on its arms, were combined together to form a triangular angle. With a bang, 3 energy bodies were shot out from the 3 cannons, and then the 3 energy bodies met in the air, and turned into a dragon head, blasting towards the small river. Boom! A sound even louder than before rang out. After the sound, the stream became deeper and wider, and the shore was flattened into a huge pit, connected to the stream. Not bad, roughly the level of the early stage of the Qua-seeking. After using his mental power to detect it, Zhang Xingyun gave a result. Then he used the wave missile, which was slightly more powerful than the dragon wave. After maintaining the super evolution state for 15 minutes, Zhang Xingyun released the super evolution state. 15 minutes, I only feel a little tired. It can be roughly estimated that with my current state, I can keep the water turtle in the super evolution state for several hours. What if 2 are super evolving at the same time? What about 3? Zhang Xingyun was guessing, and then he took out 2 super evolution stones from his backpack, and said to the giant claw mantis. Giant claw mantis, you try it. Hasan, after wearing the mega stone, he started super evolution again. The giant mantis has evolved. Hasan, a scene similar to the previous one appeared, except that the light chain was not as bright as before, but it was enough to evolve. Zhang Xingyun and the giant mantis could also feel each other's emotions, sincere and warm emotions. The light spread in, and the super giant mantis appeared in front of the elves. The super giant mantis's claws were lengthened and serrated, and the lower half of the claws were white with 3 barbs on the bottom. The barbs on the supergiant mantis's claws can pierce through concrete, and the opponent hooked by it cannot escape. The eye spots on the claws turn blue, surrounded by narrow black rings. Although there is no black ring, the real eyes are also blue. The newly appeared black armor has a triangular crown on the forehead, striped coverings on the shoulders, and unstriped coverings on the thighs in many places on the body. The lines of the supergiant mantis's legs are thicker, like conical spikes with white tips. The characteristics have also changed from ordinary insect premonition to technical master. Originally, Zhang Xingyun still regretted that the giant mantis was not a technical expert. Now that it has evolved, its characteristics have also become technical experts, which makes up for this regret. The technical expert characteristic in the game is to increase the power of low-level moves, and it is similar in reality. It is at the peak of the early stage of the Qua-seeking, and the increase is limited. Then add my spirit attaching technique. Zhang Xingyun used another spirit attaching technique on the giant mantis, and instantly the giant mantis's strength reached the middle stage of the Qua-seeking. Now Zhang Xingyun's strength has also improved a lot, and he is more proficient in the spirit attaching technique, and can perform it many times in a row. Unfortunately, the same elf can only be affected by one spirit attaching technique in a period of time, and even if multiple spirit attaching techniques are superimposed, the effect is almost the same as one. It is the middle stage of the qua-seeking. It seems that these two increases are not small, and it actually broke through a small realm at the level of the qua-seeking. If my strength is improved, and the spirit attaching effect is stronger, then wouldn't the increase be greater? Chapter 321 Super Evolution State. As Blastoise evolved, it also fed back a stream of energy to Zhang Xingyun, which improved his strength. Although it was not at the level of a qua-seeking, it had reached the peak of the elite. Zhang Xingyun also found that, after using Mega Evolution, Mantis also took 15 minutes, but consumed more energy than Blastoise, so he guessed that it might be a problem with Mantis's strength. How is it, Mantis? Hassan just let everyone know. Don't make it public. There may not be many trainers who can Mega Evolve at the moment. Nido hey boo flower shaki. About this question, I'm sorry, Nidoking, Electabuzz, and Lady Huaji. It seems that you three can't Mega Evolve. Zhang Xingyun said with some regret. Hey boo, it's just that you can't Mega Evolve at the moment. We'll see later. Don't worry, even without Mega Evolution, you can still become very strong. Don't worry about that. Hearing this, the three elves nodded. Since Zhang Xingyun said that they couldn't Mega Evolve, they probably didn't Mega Evolve either. But they also believed that their trainer would find a way that was not inferior to Mega Evolution to make them stronger. It's your turn, Pidgeot. You try it. Zhang Xingyun had just exchanged the Mega Evolution stones for Mantis and Pidgeot, but Shakiras and the others hadn't exchanged them yet. It was too early. Once they put them on, like Blastoise and Mantis, the light of evolution flashed on their bodies. Both could feel the bond and successfully completed the Mega Evolution. Super Pidgeot had a larger body and wider and longer wings. The original cream-colored feathers turned pure white, and the feathers at the end of the tail and wings were dyed blue. The eyeballs turned red, and the pupils could be seen to be white. The feather crest on the head of the Super Pidgeot is also more dazzling. 3 clusters of bright red long feathers grow out of a large cluster of yellow feathers. The middle one is even longer than its body, which makes it look particularly majestic in flight. The characteristic has also become no defense. After the Super Evolution, the strength has reached the peak of the late elite. With the increase of the spirit attachment technique, it has also successfully reached the level of qua-seeking. In other words, if Zhang Xingyun is fully fired, it is equivalent to the combat power of 4 qua-seekings. 1 giant claw mantis, 1 super evolved Pidgeot, 1 super evolved Blastoise plus 1 Nidoking. Lady Huaji and Electabuzz are considered as one as a whole, and their strength is not much worse than some qua-seeking trainers. Of course, this is also a bit inappropriate. That is, after Super Evolution, the strength will also decline. After Zhang Xingyun felt it, according to his current physical fitness, if he keeps the Super Evolution of 3 Pokémon to fight, then the duration of maintenance is about half an hour. Half an hour is enough to fight a battle. Shaki don't worry, you, Kabutosaurus, and Charmeleon all have Super Evolution. Zhang Xingyun explained. Hey boo Nido who are Electabuzz said with regret, if it could super evolve, then its strength would be greatly improved, but it didn't. As the big brother, Nidoking also comforted it. Nidoking knew that Zhang Xingyun would not ignore them. Not having it now did not mean that it would not have it in the future. And with such training resources and guidance, as long as you work hard to train and fight, are you afraid that you can't become strong? Question mark. Hey boo Nido Electabuzz and Nidoking discussed Blastoise, the Pokémon they watched grow up, and now its strength is not much worse than Fizz, which also made them feel that the Yangtze River has been pushed forward by the waves behind. But they are both very happy. Their partners have become stronger and can fight side by side. They don't need their protection anymore, and they can make more contributions to their trainers. Madame Huaji didn't care. She didn't like fighting very much. It didn't matter whether she had Super Evolution or not, but if Zhang Xingyun asked her to fight, she would do it. Usually, she still liked to cook delicious food, heal her friends, and do some logistical work. Okay guys, it's almost time. We should go back. Remember, when you communicate with other Pokémon, don't tell others. Now is not the time. Nido hey boo. Okay. She cancelled the super evolution of Pidgeot, put the giant claw mantis and others back into the Pokéball, sat on Pidgeot's back, and flew to Changning City with a whoosh. After arriving at the Pokémon Center, she left the electric beast with her, and the other Pokémon stayed in the training ground to train. Brother K, I'm here. Thank you for your help. She walked into the office and greeted Zhang K, who was replacing him for a while. You're back. Did things go smoothly? Yes, it went smoothly. That's good. Now that you're here, I'll go on a mission. Okay, thank you, Brother K. No problem. Zhang K clicked on the computer a few times, picked up his coat and walked out. Zhang Xingyun was the only one left in the office. You're really diligent. You've all gone on a mission. Looking at the empty office, Zhang Xingyun said, then turned on the computer and browsed the investigators forum. There was still a lot of inside information to read, and he was also very interested. Now he was looking at the information about super evolution. There is no news about super evolution yet, right? Or are you as low-key as me? After browsing for a while, there was still no information about super evolution. There was a lot of information about super evolution stones, but there were also many speculations about super evolution stones. Some said it might be food for elves like Bangalus, some speculated it was the energy stone of that world, and some speculated that gathering multiple stones could breed a brand new elf, a brand new life. Some people also speculated that it could make elves evolve like the fire evolution stone, but unfortunately, they didn't know the existence of the key stone, so their guess was not completely correct. If I can collect it, I have to collect more. Super evolution will be researched one day, and I can exchange it for a hospital at that time, Zhang Xingyun thought to himself. It's okay to make money by taking advantage of information asymmetry, but when collecting, you have to be careful not to act too abnormal. You have to think of a suitable reason. It's best to make a fortune quietly. Thinking of this, Zhang Xingyun went to find out if there was anyone selling super evolution stones. Unexpectedly, there really was one. So, he negotiated with the seller and bought the super evolution stone at a suitable price. Zhang Xingyun claimed to be a lover of strange stones and was keen on collecting various stones, which would not make people suspicious. After all, this is also a kind of hobby, not surprising. Chapter 322 Mission and Undercover. Okay, the purchase is complete. This should be the super evolution stone of the Lizard King. I made a profit. Zhang Xingyun said in his heart, and then continued to search on the internet, but unfortunately it was gone. Yes, it was already very lucky to meet this one. It is estimated that the seller was in a hurry to sell it, so he caught up. Zhang Xingyun spent this day in the office and went home when the time came. For several days in a row, he just did tasks, trained elves, and enriched himself. It can be said that he did not waste time. The strength of the elves is also steadily increasing. Everything is developing in a good direction. Zhang Xingyun walked into the office and greeted everyone. Just after sitting down for a while, the captain Lin Jianzhang appeared with a serious face. Everyone come here, I have an important thing to tell you. Lin Jianzhang said, calling them to the conference table, saying that there was something important. After listening, everyone immediately left their seats and came to the conference table. This time, we are going to carry out the mission together again. Lin Jianzhang's loud voice sounded. What is the captain's mission? Sun Wen asked. I received a secret report from Gaoki, saying that he has found out the location of a base of the rocket team. It seems to be a base for human experiments, so we must go and take a look. If so, we will destroy it and rescue the people inside. This is an urgent task. Base. Zhang Xingyun and the others looked solemn. This base is not easy to deal with. In general, the remaining forces in a base will definitely not be weak. This time it is estimated to be a tough battle. Then Captain, is our team going alone? Are there any others? Zhang Ke also asked at this time. This is a joint mission. We will take action together with the 4th Battalion and the 1st Battalion, as well as people from the Public Security Bureau. The higher-ups have also sent Kings to accompany us. We are determined to destroy this base. Are there any other questions? If not, pack up and get ready to go. We don't know the time of this mission, and the danger is extremely high. Everyone should be mentally prepared. Lin Jianzhang looked around at the few people. His voice was loud and serious. Yes. Everyone stood up and responded. I will give you 10 minutes to gather at the flight station. After saying that, Lin Jianzhang walked out. Zhang Xingyun immediately walked out of the office and went to the training ground to take the giant mantis and others with him, ready to carry out the mission. I didn't expect that, after being idle for a while, there would be another urgent mission to participate in. Zhang Xingyun thought that he could go there easily today, but he didn't expect that there would be an urgent mission to carry out. I'm here. Zhang Xingyun came to the flight station and joined Zhang Ke and others. People from other teams also arrived and squatted on the spot to check things. Xingyun, check the things and see if there is anything missing. Zhang Ke reminded. Okay. Zhang Xingyun also squatted down and checked the space backpack. Everything was brought. The supplies inside were enough for him to survive in the wild for a while. Soon, Lin Jianzhang and two middle-aged men with square faces came over. After encouraging everyone for a few words, they released the elves and signaled to set off. The three teams were divided into several teams, flew out of Changling from different directions, and then met at the agreed location. This time, Zhang Xingyun was still with Zhang Ke, sitting on the back of Pidgeot and flew away. Alas, I don't know how many people will be sacrificed this time. Zhang Ke sighed and said in a very heavy tone. Be careful, just follow the main force. Zhang Xingyun responded. This was also his first time to participate in the mission of extracting the base, and he was still a little confused. Xingyun, you don't know that in emergency missions, extracting the base is the most difficult, and the number of sacrifices is the highest. We are no longer facing elves, but also some technological means. That's right. Zhang Xingyun nodded and agreed. Even though it is the elf era now, and the society is dominated by cultivating elves, the power of technology will not be weak. Some people have even developed technology faster because of the existence of elves. In short, be careful, Xingyun. You are a capable person. If you have the spare energy, you have to take care of our teammates at critical moments. Okay, I will. By the way, Brother K, is the Gaoki mentioned by the captain our teammate who is undercover in the rocket team? Zhang Xingyun thought of the Gaoki in the words of Captain Lin Jianzhang and asked curiously. Yes, he is an excellent investigator. He has been undercover in Team Rocket for several years and has sent us a lot of information. I haven't met him either, but I have heard some of his information. Oh, then he is quite powerful. Yeah, how can he be undercover in such an environment for so long? How can he not be powerful? That's right. The two continued to chat, and Pidgeot also flew to the destination with other flying elves. At this time, a battle was taking place at a Team Rocket base near the South China Sea. The VIPs had ferocious faces and surrounded a middle-aged man. Their feet were bloody and there were potholes around them. It was obvious that a battle had taken place here. So your name is Gaoki, a member of the 13th Squadron of Changning. Nice to meet you. Silver Scorpion looked at the man in front of him with a joking face and a cold tone. He was an old man who had joined Team Rocket for many years and was also an undercover investigator. I don't know how much information he has sent out. If they hadn't set up a trap this time, they would have caught him. Otherwise, it would have been even more difficult to deal with him after his position was promoted. Heh, there's nothing to say now. Gaoki's mouth was bleeding, and his eyes were full of determination. But from the first day he came to be an undercover agent, he had prepared himself mentally. Being an undercover agent is very dangerous. He was very careful on weekdays, but he didn't expect that he would be set up and exposed this time. Now Gaoki is not afraid of death, but he feels a little sorry for the elves who followed him and the message he sent out. If this is a cry, then the base in this message is also a conspiracy. Now he is being watched by several people and can't do anything else. Hydrika Flame Whirlpool, Arbok Black Mist. After saying that, Gaoki quickly took out a special mobile phone from the space. As soon as he clicked it, he found that his body could not move. The two elves beside him also lay on the ground. A king-level dream-inducing taper followed Silver Scorpion, looking at him with a faint glow in his eyes. You still want to send a message? It's too late. Silver Scorpion chuckled and took Gaoki's things. What's the password? You have a bad temper. You're attracting the dream tapers to watch you. Taper Gaoki's eyes were dulled for a moment. What's the password? Silver Scorpion spoke again. The password is. What is it? Silver Scorpion was a little impatient. Gaoki had a strong will. Even after being hypnotized, he still refused to tell the password. After trying several times, Silver Scorpion was a little exasperated and said to the team leaders next to him, "Carry him down. I want him to live a life worse than death. Remember not to kill him. It's better to live than to die." Yes. Chapter 323, Sneaking into the Dark. By the way, we have to go and greet them. You guys come with me to entertain them. Okay, Lord Silver Scorpion. The VIP and his companions answered respectfully, with malicious smiles on their faces. If we infer from the information sent by Gaoki, the government will at most send one Heavenly King to accompany them. This time, they have 4 Heavenly Kings. With such a big advantage, there is no reason for them to lose. In order to cooperate with this operation, other members of the rocket team will also take action to attract the attention of the government. Hehe, Zhang Xingyun, investigator of the 13th Changning investigation team. VIP sneered. This time he had to do it himself. He didn't believe that he would lose with his quasi-Heavenly King strength. Zhang Xingyun's people didn't know what happened in the rocket team base. At this time, they landed in a dense forest and were discussing the details. Of course, the 2 captains and the 2 Heavenly Kings who came were discussing, while Zhang Xingyun and other ordinary team members stayed aside, waiting for notification. As if they had discussed it, Lin Jian's Han came over and called Zhang Xingyun and others to run towards a mountain together. Our team is heading from this east direction. We will go there first and take action when the signal comes. By the way, I sent you the map. Take a look. Zhang Xingyun opened his mobile phone and looked at the picture opened by Lin Jian's Han. The location of this base was marked in it. The gate and secret passages could be seen in this picture. Moreover, this base was built hundreds of meters underground, and the roads were very complicated. This place is considered to be the territory of Changning. It is geographically remote, so there is not much attention. It was not swept during the last crackdown. Looking at the picture, Zhang Xingyun frowned. He felt something was wrong, but he couldn't tell. Zhang Xingyun also heard from Zhang Ke that the information sent by the teammate Gaoki was true every time and helped them deal with many things, so this information could not be false. And according to the information, the strongest guarding force of this stronghold is several quasi-king rocket team members. They expected the enemy to be lenient and sent 2 kings to participate, which can be said to be a sure thing. When we act later, we must be more careful. Zhang Xingyun thought to himself. Although he had some trump cards, he could not be careless. He still had to be careful. Zhang Xingyun has always been cautious, especially this time the target of the operation is still criminals like the rocket team. No matter how careful he is, it is not too much. Ding ding ding, the captain's communicator rang, and he spoke. "Let's go, the action has begun, follow me." Released a dragon head mole, drilled into the ground, Lin Jian's Han took the lead and followed. Zhang Xingyun and others followed, and summoned agile elves around them. It must be said that the quasi-king level dragon head mole is fast at drilling holes. It was more than 100 meters underground in a whirl. "Captain, wait a minute. There is an alarm machine 30 meters to my left. Let's go around it." After entering, Zhang Xingyun released his mental power to explore the surroundings and found an object like a small bell. The object was very small. "Oh, okay, my elves didn't react, but you actually sensed it. I'll leave it to you." Captain Lin Jian's Han did what Zhang Xingyun said after listening. The elves and his elf bull also said that there was an object there after Zhang Xingyun finished speaking. He also knew that Zhang Xingyun was a person with special abilities, so it was normal for people with special abilities to have detection methods. So he let Zhang Xingyun lead the way so that they could avoid many alarm machines, and it would be convenient for them to sneak attack so that the casualties would be smaller. Zhang Ke and others also smiled when they saw this scene. It was really convenient to have a teammate with special abilities. If Zhang Xingyun hadn't reminded them, they wouldn't have found those alarm machines. In this way, when they touched the enemy would be ready, so they couldn't achieve the effective sneak attack, and it might even turn into a counter sneak attack. Finally, under the guidance of Zhang Xingyun, the crowd avoided the warning machines one by one, and came to a barrier made of special metal. When Zhang Xingyun used his mental power to detect this barrier, he found that his mental power could not penetrate it. This material can shield his supernatural power detection. If he wanted to move instantly, he didn't know if it would work, so he didn't try it to avoid accidents. There is no way to detect it. Then let's go along here and see if we can find the entrance and then find a way to get in. Lin Jianzhang said, looking at the picture on his phone, and pointed in a direction. Okay. There are more warning machines here than outside. Fortunately, with Zhang Xingyun's supernatural power detection, they were all avoided. Everyone found an entrance smoothly. This is their sea entrance. Who among you can unlock it silently? Lin Jianzhang asked. Zhang Ke and the others looked at each other and shook their heads. Only Hu Ziming stood up. I can try this. This kind of door can be opened with a program. Let me give it a try. Then I'll leave it to you, old Hu. It's a piece of cake. Hu Ziming took out a laptop and started typing on the keyboard. On the computer interface, programs that Zhang Xingyun couldn't understand flashed one after another. During this time, the team leader Lin Jianzhang took out a few photos. The photos showed the environment here. They were prepared in advance and asked Zhang Xingyun to move instantly and paste them on the nearby surveillance. With Zhang Xingyun's help, the photos were pasted on the surveillance. In this way, the computer's surveillance screen was just like normal surveillance. If you didn't check the camera, you wouldn't find that the surveillance was pasted with photos. Seeing that Zhang Xingyun had pasted the photos, Hu Ziming also plugged 2 wires into the 2 holes on the door. Hu Ziming's typing speed became faster, and the codes on the computer interface kept flashing. Several people watched quietly on the side. They were not proficient in programming and couldn't help. Even Zhang Xingyun, who was a capable person, was not very proficient in programming. He just learned this a few times and could make a few simple ones. He couldn't do such a complicated one and couldn't even understand it. Okay. After operating for a while, Hu Ziming smiled and wiped the sweat from his head. The red light on the gate turned green, and with a light snap, the gate opened. The surveillance cameras behind the gate were also temporarily controlled by Hu Ziming using the computer, and several people walked in smoothly. Your ability is more detailed than some superpowered elves. Fortunately, you are here this time, Xingyun. Lin Jianzhang whispered. Haha, it's a piece of cake. The building materials here are somewhat special. Zhang Xingyun slowly released his mental power, 1 meter, 2 meters, until he was 20 meters away. He stopped and led everyone to walk in quietly. There were surveillance cameras, warning machines, red lines and other machines, all of which were successfully avoided under the leadership of Zhang Xingyun. Chapter 324 The King of Heaven blocks the way. Fortunately, we have Xingyun in our team, and of course, it is also Leo whose credit. Lin Jianzhang sighed. Normally, a search officer team needs some special talents, such as Hu Ziming's computer and Zhang Xingyun's ability. This can play a great role in the execution of tasks, just like this operation. Not good, Captain. I sensed a heaven leaking level energy fluctuation, just at the left turn ahead. I dare not explore further for fear of being discovered. Zhang Xingyun immediately conveyed the perception to Lin Jianzhang. What? Heaven leaking level energy fluctuation? Xingyun, are you sure you are not mistaken? After listening to Zhang Xingyun's words, Lin Jianzhang still didn't believe it. He still didn't believe it in his heart. After all, the information sent by Gaoki didn't say that there was a heaven leaking in the base here, but now Zhang Xingyun said that there was a heaven leaking fluctuation. In this case, whether it was Zhang Xingyun's problem or Gaoki's problem, it was a big problem. Xingyun, can you probe deeper? Try it. I'm not doubting you, but this is a matter of great importance. Okay, but Captain, I suggest you retreat first. The heaven leakings are very sensitive. I'm afraid that my ability to detect will be sensed. Zhang Xingyun also understood Lin Jianzhang's idea, so he said this compromise. Okay. Then Lin Jianzhang led Zhang Ke and others to slowly retreat. Zhang Xingyun waited for a while, then released his mental power to detect. The buildings here are a bit special, and his ability will be suppressed and interfered. In the end, the mental power still detected an empty room, in which a middle-aged man was sitting cross-legged. The man was muscular, with multiple injuries on his face, and the whole person revealed an extremely sturdy aura. Beside him, there was also a poisonous skull frog. Judging from the aura revealed by this poisonous skull frog, it was a heaven-leaking level elf. Quack, the poisonous skull frog seemed to feel something and called out. What happened to Toxoplasma? Quack, it could be a Pokémon from our base, but it's unlikely to be an enemy. I haven't received any information either. Let's wait a little longer, the man said, confident in the facilities of his base and the staff guarding the screen. Quack, Toxoplasma ignored what his trainer said. On the other side, Zhang Xingyun quickly withdrew his power, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and slowly retreated. Fortunately, the trainer and Toxoplasma didn't pay much attention to it, otherwise he would have been discovered. He had just entered, and was already discovered. If it had swept over them, it would have been a sure thing that they would have been discovered. Captain, let's go. There really is a king here. I sensed a king level poison frog. What? A king level poison frog? Then its trainer is some strong middle-aged man with a scar on his face? I sensed a tall man. It should be it. That should be the Poison Frog King in Team Rocket, and that Poison Frog is its famous Pokémon. Lin Jianzhang's face was ugly, and he also guessed the identity of the middle-aged man. Let's go first, maybe there will be changes in this mission. Lin Jianzhang had no choice but to ask everyone to retreat first, and then discuss how to carry out the mission. With the Poison Frog King there, even if they go together, they have no chance of winning. Going up is just to die, which is worthless. Let's retreat slowly and contact our king outside. Okay. There are warning machines buried near here, which have the effect of interfering with the signal. Lin Jianzhang is also afraid that the information he sent will be intercepted by these machines, so they will be exposed and even more dangerous. Hurry, hurry, I feel something is wrong now. Gaoki must have had a problem. Let's get out quickly. I hope it's not what I thought. Lin Jianzhang said hurriedly, but they couldn't walk too fast in this area. They walked for a long time before climbing to the ground. Boom 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 boom. As soon as they got out of the ground, they heard 3 rumbling sounds coming from different directions. No. This is a trap. It seems that Gaoki has had a problem. Damn it. Seeing this scene, the glimmer of luck in Lin Jianzhang's heart also dissipated. He quickly took out a communicator and entered a code. Beep beep dong, I'm the captain of the 13th Changning search team, Lin Jianzhang. We are now ambushed here in Wuning Mountain. There are about 4 Shinwang masters on the opposite side. Request support. Request support. He said hurriedly and sent it out. Fortunately, we can still send it out here, otherwise it will be troublesome. Okay, let's go to support them. I hope they can hold on. Yes. Lin Jianzhang led everyone to rush over. When they arrived, they saw a beautiful young woman and a square-faced middle-aged man in the sky, confronting each other. The people below were fighting. Haha, Mengai Shai and Wang, you didn't expect it, did you? The beautiful young woman was Yingxi, who said with a smile, looking like she was sure of victory. I didn't expect you to be here, but we don't necessarily lose. Oh, really? I'm also a little surprised that you, Mengai Shai and Wang, would get involved this time, but I'm not the only one here. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the signal here is also blocked, not only here, but also in the other 2 places, and another one will be soon. You shouldn't be able to send your information, hahaha. Damn it. Mengai Shai and Wang looked ugly, because he glanced at the mobile phone in his hand, and the signal was indeed blocked. As a Shai and Wang, he couldn't retreat. If he retreated, the search officers below would definitely collapse. Without his restraint, Yingxi would definitely take action. King Mengai, we are here. This time we are setting up an ambush. Lin Jianzhang rode a flying elf to the battlefield and joined King Mengai. What's going on? There is another group of people. What happened to the poison frog? Seeing Lin Jian's Hang appear, Silver Scorpion frowned, with a little confusion in his eyes. What's going on? Yi Mingyu asked in a low voice. It's like this. There is a person with special abilities in our team. After we sneaked in, because of his special ability detection, we knew that their workings ambushing ahead, so we withdrew first. I guess there are 4 kings here. Of course I also asked for support. Lin Jian's Hang explained. After listening to Yi Mingyu, his expression eased a little. Then he released a fiery arrow eagle, took out a recorder, and said a few words, then let it fly away. Silver Scorpion wanted to attack, but was stopped by him. Humph, then the 2 kings started fighting. Lin Jian's Hang and Zhang Xingyun participated in the battle below. Chapter 325, Fighting the VIP. With the participation of Lin Jian's Hang and others, the battle situation on the ground improved a lot. Damn it, what is Poison Frog doing? Why did he send a group of people over here? Silver Scorpion gritted his teeth in anger, but continued to fight with Mingyu Shi and Wang on the opposite side. Mingyu Shi and Wang on the opposite side of him also signaled the people below to fight and retreat, slowly retreating in one direction. In that direction was another Shi and Wang who was traveling with them. The best way now was to reunite with the other Shi and Wang to avoid being defeated one by one. The 2 Shi and Wangs joined forces and could hold out longer. Together with the search officers on the ground, they hoped to hold out until the arrival of support. Boom boom boom, there were oars coming from 2 directions. Presumably those 2 places were ambushed. But the direction with the Shi and Wang was fine. With the elite search brigade and a Shi and Wang accompanying them, they would not collapse easily, even if they were ambushed. But there was another brigade that was not accompanied by a king. That brigade was Changning's 1st brigade. There were 3 Quasi-King trainers in it, and the captain had 2 Quasi-King late-stage Pokémon, but they were definitely not as good as the kings. Fortunately, Zhang Xingyun and others joined in below, and the retreat was not smooth. After a while, they joined another brigade. In the sky was the battlefield of the 4 kings, and the people below consciously did not participate. They were all fighting elsewhere. Vegeta Airblade, Blue's Water Cannon, Nidoking Earth Force, Electric Beast, 100,000 volts. Zhang Xingyun commanded the 4 Pokémon to fight, and there were 2 members of Team Rocket fighting against him. The 2 members of Team Rocket were also strong, and they both had several elite late-stage Pokémon. The battlefield was in chaos, with Pokémon's moves flying around, and smoke and dust flying. A colorless wave was crawling above Zhang Xingyun's head, and suddenly an Alakazam appeared. Alakazam waved a soup spoon in his hand, and Zhang Xingyun attacked. Swoosh, sensing the danger, the giant claw mantis immediately came out of the Pokéball, and in a flash, it quickly threw a punch and smashed over. Alakazam also realized that it was not good, so it had to give up the attack on Zhang Xingyun, and disappeared in an instant. It did not dare to fight with the giant claw mantis in close combat, because it could not beat it. The Alakazam that suddenly attacked them was also a Quasi-King Pokémon. It was unknown who it belonged to, but there was no time to think about it in the scene in front of it. The man opposite Zhang Xingyun saw the appearance of the giant claw mantis, and his face changed a little, and he hurriedly called his companions. They did not expect that Zhang Xingyun actually had a Quasi-King Pokémon giant claw mantis. The battle with Nidoking and other Pokémons was already a stalemate. If the giant claw mantis was added, they would not be able to withstand it. Heh, I found you. VIP snorted coldly. He finally found Zhang Xingyun. Originally, he was in another direction, and as the opponent retreated, he came here. He was a little puzzled. Why didn't he see Zhang Xingyun? But he didn't expect to meet him here, so he couldn't let him go this time. Looking around, the Quasi-Kings of the Investigators organization were all restrained. This was a good opportunity to kill him. Xingyun, I'm here. Seeing Zhang Xingyun being besieged, GXIU also arrived at this time. I'm here too. Zhang Ke also arrived at this time, and the 3 of them met the 3 people on the opposite side. Be careful, the short-haired man on the opposite side is training for the Quasi-King. I was just attacked by his Alakazam. Zhang Xingyun's tone was very solemn, and he informed the 2 people. Alakazam's superpower delves. This is trouble. After hearing this, the 2 knew that it was not easy to deal with, but their captain was temporarily restrained, so they could only rely on them. I'll hold that man first, and you guys quickly deal with the two people. Zhang Xingyun said. Okay. The two also realized that this was not the time to talk nonsense. Since Zhang Xingyun said that he could delay, then fight. Spirit attachment. Attach a spirit attachment to several elves of the giant claw mantis, improving their strength, and then fight with the opponent on the opposite side. I can't believe you've come this far. If I give you some more time, I probably won't be able to defeat you. The venomous snake muttered to himself, and summoned another crowhead and a moon elf. With that Alakazam, there are 3 Qua-seeking elves. Alakazam and the moon elf are still Qua-seeking elves in the middle stage, and the situation is very unfriendly to Zhang Xingyun and others. It's difficult. Zhang Xingyun had no choice but to bite the bullet. The giant claw mantis faced Alakazam, and he and Nidoking's wife Uaji mainly restrained the moon elf, and the remaining crowhead was left to Pidgeot and the others. Bang bang bang. As soon as the battle started, Zhang Xingyun fell into a disadvantage. Fortunately, Nidoking and the others were well cultivated, and with some attribute restraints, the situation was temporarily stabilized, and did not collapse. However, during the battle, there was no fixed opponent, and the opponent would be exchanged for flexible combat. Zhang Xingyun can also be regarded as a late-stage elite combat force, mainly because of his supernatural powers, which created opportunities for the elves. Boom. Nidoking suddenly teleported to the side of the moon elf, and punched it hard with an arm punch. The moon elf's speed and reaction were also extraordinary, and it actually avoided Nidoking's arm punch. Swish, swish, swish. After the arm punch, Nidoking immediately got in position, and a stream of cold spikes shot out instantly, densely shooting at the moon elf. Madam Huaji was also on the side, using charm to try to interfere with the moon elf. This moon elf was a male elf, and although it was careless, and was bewitched by Madam Huaji's charm for a second at the beginning, the effect was not great afterwards. A dark shadow ball shot out from the moon elf's mouth, breaking Nidoking's cold spikes and Madam Huaji's energy ball, and the remaining force continued to attack. Nidoking was also a veteran, and used defense to resist this shadow ball. Bang. With a muffled sound, the shadow ball hit Nidoking's protective shield, and while breaking the shield, it also dissipated. Nidoking, be careful, the moon elf is coming. Zhang Xingyun reminded. Alakazam's attack came again. After Zhang Xingyun reminded him, he hurriedly responded to Alakazam. After hearing Zhang Xingyun's reminder, Nidoking slapped his tail and stomped his feet, shaking up many pieces of soil from the ground. In an instant, they attached to his body. A glimmer of earthy yellow light flashed by, and Nidoking's rock armor was completed. Zilla Zilla. The shadow claws of the moon elf also arrived. As the claws waved, many bleeding wounds appeared on Nidoking's body. After all, the moon elf is still a Qua-seeking elf. Its sharp claws can still scratch Nidoking's rock armor and penetrate into his flesh and blood. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.